What it be? What it do? Welcome back to another epic book review with your boy. Yeah, hello. Welcome into the stream. I don't know if anybody's here, but I'm just gonna do a thingy with a thingy, and then we can get into talking about it. I mean, we don't really have much to talk about, because, like, I don't have to tell you, like, or anyone, what I read last time, because you were there. I haven't read any more since. This is a strange experience. And the last Olympian. Okay. Well, there's that. Bada bing. Bada boom. Okay. And then... crap. Okay, well, I forgot to do something, but whatever, it's fine. Okay. Hello, hello, nobody and everybody. Welcome in to the Percy Jackson read stream. Might be alone this time, for the first time in ever history. But if that is how we must read, we must read. The adventure waits for no man. Okay. But let's discuss. I guess we can still discuss some of what we read last time. What we read last time is I Am Not Alone, Anthony Building. Love to see it. Welcome back. I can always count on you. Appreciate you. But yeah, let's talk about it because this will refresh my memory really quickly. First off, raid on Kronos' ship, the Princess Andromeda. They blew that bitch up. It's been roaming free for about 4 books, and they blew it up. That's crazy. Then my boy Beckendorf, rest in peace, the goat. He died. This is so sad. Selena's gonna turn up. Clearly, I can see it. And what happened in the second chapter? In the second chapter, they went to Percy's dad's place. I can't be too active for a bit, but I am here. Appreciate you regardless. It's Bonnie Faye. It's always nice to have you two in here with me. I'm not alone anymore. Anyways, yes, we did. I was getting to that. First we got Poseidon going toe-to-toe with the Titan in his realm, Oceanus, and an introduction to Triton, who I know is a character that people want Logan Lerman to play, which I am all for. I want the original cast to be included somehow. And then after that stellar chapter and the reintroduction of my boy Tyson, and we got the prophecy in the next chapter with Selena's reaction and Clarice and everybody, and it's shaping up. I think I'm gonna be able to do 5 chapters today, so we definitely reading for a bit longer than we did last time. And then yeah, we'll see how Dizzy goes next time. I don't know what I'll do for that stream after this, but let's focus on let's be here in the now. Let's focus on these next couple of chapters. It's about to be the shortest pre-stream preamble that I've ever done, because there's nothing really to talk about, because we talked about it. You were here with me when I read it. Let's see. While I do this, let me put up my special streamer gear that I have on. You know how it is. Clarice out here bitching about who get what when my main man Beckendorf is gone. I know, bro. The Church of Beckendorf, we stand with him, dude. This is so unfortunate. This is so sad. Hold on. Where's the thingy that I want? Okay, here it is. Cool. Or I want to see if okay, let me see if I can remember the prophecy off the top of my head. I want to like be able to quote it because it's so cool. What is it? It's like a half-blood of the eldest gods shall reach 16 against all odds and see the world in endless sleep. A severed soul, cursed blade shall reap. No, I'm completely forgetting it. What is it? It's like something about a last stand and Olympus to preserve her rays or something. I don't remember it. Bam! Thingy. Let me go back and read it. I need to memorize this because it's so cool. If they don't give that man a statue or at least a forge named after him, honestly, that'd be anything less would be rude. Okay, I want to go back and read it because it's so cool. What is it? And then we'll get started on this next one. Here it is. A half-blood of the eldest gods shall reach 16 against all odds, and see the world in endless sleep. The hero's soul cursed blade shall reap. A single choice shall end his days, Olympus to preserve or raise. Yep, okay, that's what it is. That's hard as shit. Okay. Yeah, I think that's gonna end this preamble, because we just need to get back into it. We just need to get back into the book. A hero's soul cursed blade shall reap, bear witness to it. A bear witness to endless sleep, a single choice to end his days. No, you were wrong. It wasn't bear witness. It is, and see the world in endless sleep. Aha. The book knows better than you, which makes sense. But yes. Okay. Now let's just get into it, because there's not much more to talk about. I just want to see what happens next, and I cut the stream too short last time. I want to read more. I'm excited to see what happens, but I do think that was a nice little cliffhanger for the prophecy that I've been waiting for so long. Sorry, I got one part of it wrong. You should be sorry. How dare you? How dare you get any of it wrong? Never mind that I got it wrong. That's not important. We're talking about you right now. All right. What is it? Let me hold on. A half-blood of the eldest god shall reach 16 against all odds. Shall reach 16 against all odds. And damn it, I literally already forgot the second line. There's no shot, bro. I'm gonna memorize this. Yeah, okay, it is. And see the world in endless sleep. The hero's soul cursed blade shall reap. A single's choice shall end his days. Over to preserve a race. Okay. Regardless, all right, let's just get into it. I'll memorize it on my own time. I'll get it right. Let's see. Chapter 4. Of course, the worst crime online you can commit online. Being incorrect. This is true. Never be incorrect online. Always be correct, like me. Anyways. Chapter 4. We burn a metal shroud. Okay, Percy. I dreamed Rachel Elizabeth Dare was throwing darts at my picture. She was standing in her room. Okay, back up. I have to explain that Rachel doesn't have a room. She has the top floor of her family's mansion, which is a renovated brownstone in Brooklyn. Her room is a huge loft with industrial lighting and floor-to-ceiling windows. It's about twice as big as my mom's apartment. Some alt rock was blaring from her paint-covered Bose docking system. As far as I could tell, Rachel's only rule about music was that no two songs on her iPod could sound the same, and they all had to be strange. She wore a kimono, and her hair was frizzy, like she'd been sleeping, and her bed was messed up. Sheets hung over a bunch of artists' easels, dirty clothes, and old energy bar wrappers were strewn around the floor. When you've got a room that big, the mess doesn't look so bad. Out the windows, you could see the entire nighttime skyline of Manhattan. Out the windows, you could see the entire nighttime skyline of Manhattan. The picture she was attacking was a painting of me standing over the giant Antaeus. Rachel had painted it a couple months ago. My expression in the picture was fierce, disturbing even, so it was hard to tell if I was the good guy or the bad guy. But Rachel said I'd look just like that. I looked just like that after the battle. Demigods, Rachel muttered as she threw another dart at the canvas. And their stupid quests. Ah, she's hating. She wants to be a demigod so bad. Most of the darts bounced off, but a few stuck. One hung off my chin like a goatee. Oh shit. Someone pounded on her bedroom door. Rachel! A man shouted. What in the world are you doing? Turn off that! Rachel scooped up her remote control and turned off the music. Come in. Her dad walked in, scowling and blinking from the light. He had rust-colored hair and a little darker than Rachel's. It was smushed on one side like he'd lost a fight with his pillow. His blue silk pajamas had WD monogrammed on the pocket. Seriously, who has monogrammed pajamas? What is going on? He demanded. It's 3 in the morning. Couldn't sleep, Rachel said. On the painting, a dart fell off my face. Rachel hid the rest behind her back, but Mr. Dare noticed. So, I take it your friend isn't coming to St. Thomas. That's what Mr. Dare called me. Never Percy, just your friend, or young man if he was talking to me, which he rarely did. Rachel knit her eyebrows. I don't know. We leave in the morning, her dad said. If he hasn't made up his mind yet, he's probably not coming. Rachel said he's probably not coming. Rachel said miserably. Happy? Percy. I forgot about that. I forgot he had to accompany her to the thingy that she wanted to do. But he's on a quest, you know. He's saving the world, dude. You gotta give him some slack. Mr. Dare put his hands behind his back. He paced the room with a stern expression. I imagine he did that in the boardroom of his land development company and made his employees nervous. Are you still having bad dreams? He asked. Headaches? Rachel threw her darts on the floor. I should never have told you about that. I'm your father, he said. I'm worried about you. Worried about the family's reputation, Rachel muttered. Her father didn't react. Maybe because he'd heard that comment before, or maybe because it was true. We could call Dr. Arkwright, he suggested. He helped you get through the death of your hamster. I was 6 then, she said. And no, Dad, I don't need a therapist. She shook her head helplessly. Her father stopped in front of the windows. He gazed at the New York skyline as if he owned it. It wasn't true. He only owned part of it. It will be good for you to get away, he decided. You had some unhealthy influences. I'm not going to Clarion Ladies Academy, Rachel said. My friends are none of your business. Mr. Dare smiled, but it wasn't a warm smile. It was more like, someday you'll realize how silly you sound. Try to get some sleep, he urged. We'll be at the beach by tomorrow night. It will be fun. Fun, Rachel repeated. Lots of fun. If it's a beach, Percy's gonna be there. Trust. I don't know how, but I guarantee Percy's gonna pull up. He's gonna walk out of the water. Her father exited the room. He left the door open behind him. Rachel stared at the portrait of me. Then she walked to the easel next to it, which was covered in a sheet. I hope they're dreams, she said. She uncovered the easel. On it was hastily sketched charcoal. But Rachel was a good artist. The picture was definitely Luke as a young boy. He was about 9 years old with a wide grin and no scar on his face. I had no idea how Rachel could have known what he looked like back then. But the portrait was so good, I had a feeling she wasn't guessing from itchy nose. Can I stop? From what I knew about Luke's life, which wasn't much. The picture showed me just before, which wasn't much. Okay, the picture showed him just before he'd found out he was a half-blood, and I'd run away from home. Rachel stared at the portrait, and she uncovered the next easel. The picture was even more disturbing. It showed the Empire State Building, with lightning around it. In the distance, a dark storm was brewing, with a huge hand coming out of the clouds. At the base of the building, a crowd had gathered, but it wasn't a normal crowd of tourists and pedestrians. I saw spears, javelins, and banners, the trappings of an army. Percy, Rachel muttered, as if she knew I was listening. What is going on? The dream faded, and the last thing I remembered was wishing I could answer her question. Oh, this is so epic, bro. This is so epic. I love this. The next morning, I wanted to call her, but there was no phones at camp. Dionysus and Chiron didn't need a landline. They just called Olympus with an iris message whenever they needed to. Why can't you use an iris message to call Dr. Rachel? You use it to talk to your mom. And when demigods use cell phones, the signals agitate every monster within 100 miles, like sending up a flare. Here I am. Please rearrange my face. Even within the safe borders of camp, that's not the kind of advertising we wanted to do. Most demigods, except for Annabeth and a few others, don't even own cell phones, and I definitely couldn't tell Annabeth, "Hey, let me borrow your phone so I can call Rachel." To make the call, I would have had to leave camp, walk several miles to the nearest convenience store. Even if Chiron let me go, by the time I got there, Rachel would have been on a plane to St. Thomas. Get in the ocean and tell the ocean to carry you there, bro. Or get on Blackjack, or send her an iris message. There are actually a lot of things you can do. Hold on, cool idea for a power, being able to teleport anywhere in the world as long as Percy can touch a body of water. That would be really freaking cool. Like, he just touches the ocean and he's at somewhere else, but still in the ocean, just like coming out of the beach there. That'd be sick. That'd be pretty sick. A little broken though. I ate a depressing breakfast by myself at the Poseidon table. Oh yeah, no, Tyson didn't come back with us, that's right. I kept staring at the fissure in the marble floor where 2 years ago Nico had banished a bunch of bloodthirsty skeletons to the underworld. The memory didn't exactly improve my appetite. After breakfast, Annabeth and I walked down to inspect the cabins. Actually, it was Annabeth's turn for inspection. My morning chore was to sort through reports for Chiron. But since we both hated our jobs, we decided to do them together so it wouldn't be heinous. We started at the Poseidon cabin, which was basically just me. I made my bunk bed that morning, sort of, and straightened the Minotaur horn on the wall, so I gave myself a 4 out of 5. Annabeth made a face. Annabeth, you're being generous. You're being generous. She used the end of her pencil to pick up an old pair of running shoes. I snatched them away. Hey, give me a break. I don't have Tyson cleaning up after me this summer. 3 out of 5, Annabeth said. I knew better than to argue, so we moved along. I tried to skim through Chiron's stack of reports as we walked. There were messages from demigods, nature spirits, and satyrs all around the country, writing about the latest monster activity. They were pretty depressing, and my ADHD brain did not like concentrating on depressing stuff. Little battles were raging everywhere. Camp recruitment was down to 0. Satyrs were having trouble finding new demigods and bringing them to Half-Blood Hill because so many monsters were roaming the country. Dang, that means kids are getting murdered. Our friend Thalia, who led the hunters, she led them? Doesn't Artemis lead them? Thalia, who led the hunters of Artemis, hadn't been heard from in months, and if Artemis knew what had happened to them, she wasn't sharing information. We visited the Aphrodite cabin, which of course got a 5 out of 5. The beds were perfectly made, the clothes in everyone's footlockers were color-coordinated, fresh flowers bloomed in the windowsills. I wanted to dock a point because the whole place reeked of designer perfume, but Annabeth ignored me. Great job as usual, Selena, Annabeth said. Selena nodded listlessly. The wall behind her bed was decorated with pictures of Beckendorf. She sat on her bunk with a box of chocolates on her lap, and I remembered that her dad owned a chocolate store in the village, which is how he caught the attention of Aphrodite. You want a bonbon? Selena asked. My dad sent them. He thought they might cheer me up. Are they any good? I asked. She shook her head. They taste like cardboard. Damn. I didn't have anything against cardboard. Me. I didn't have anything against cardboard, so I tried one. Annabeth passed. We promised to see Selena later, and kept going. As we crossed the commons area, a fight broke out between the Ares and Apollo cabins. Some Apollo campers armed with firebombs flew over the Ares cabin in a chariot, pulled by 2 Pegasi. Why, bro? I'd never seen the chariot before, but it looked like a pretty sweet ride. Soon, the roof of the Ares cabin was burning, and naiads from the canoe lake rushed over to blow water on it. Then the Ares cabin called down a curse, and all the Apollo kids' arrows turned to rubber. What? Wait, how can you do that? The Apollo kids kept shooting at the Ares kids, but the arrows bounced off. 2 archers ran by, chased by an angry Ares kid who's yelling in poetry, "Curse me, eh? I'll make you pay." Dang, he's barring them down out here. I don't want to rhyme all day. Annabeth sighed. Not that again. Oh. They take after their dad. Apollo likes haikus. They like poems. That's so funny. Annabeth sighed. Not that again. Last time Apollo cursed the cabin, it took a week for the rhyme couplets to wear off. I shuddered. Apollo was a god of poetry as well as archery, and I'd heard him recite in person. I'd almost rather get shot by an arrow. What are they fighting about anyway? I asked. I assume Thalia is leading the huntresses as Artemis is helping fight Typhon. Probably. That is probably what's happening. Annabeth ignored me while she scribbled on her inspection scroll, giving both cabins a 1 out of 5. I found myself staring at her, which was stupid since I'd seen her a billion times. She and I were the same height this summer, which was a relief. Still, she seemed so much more mature. It was kind of intimidating. I mean, sure, she's always been cute, but she was starting to be seriously beautiful. Damn, Percy, okay. I love how you can slowly see, like, Percy, like, how he, like, as he, like, starts to like her more, his, like, perspective of view on Annabeth, because he did not like her in the first book, you know what I mean? Finally, she said, the flying chariot. What? Guess what they were fighting about? Oh, right. They captured it in a raid in Philadelphia last week. Some of Luke's demigods were there with the flying chariot. The Apollo cabin seized it during the battle, but the Ares cabin led the raid. So they've been fighting about who gets it ever since. How about neither of them? Give it to Percy. We ducked as Michael used chariot dive-bombed an Ares camper. The Ares camper tried to stab him and cuss him out in rhyming couplets. He was pretty creative about the rhyming cuss words. We're fighting for our lives, I said, and they're bickering about some stupid chariot. They'll get over it, Annabeth said. Clarice will come to her senses. I wasn't so sure. It didn't sound like the Clarice I knew. I scanned more reports, and we inspected a few more cabins. Demeter got a 4, Hephaestus got a 3, and probably should have gotten lower, but with Beckendorf being gone and all, we cut them some slack. Hermes got a 2, which is no surprise. All campers who didn't know their godly parentage were shoved into the Hermes cabin, and since the gods were kind of forgetful, that cabin was always overcrowded. Finally, we got to Athena's cabin, which was orderly and clean as usual. Books were straightened to the shelves, the armor was polished, battle maps and blueprints decorated, the walls, only Annabeth's bunk was messy. It was covered in papers, and her silver laptop was still running. Vlacus, Annabeth muttered, which is basically calling herself an idiot in Greek. Her second in command, Malcolm, expressed a smile. Yeah, we cleaned everything else. Didn't know if it was safe to move your notes. So that was probably smart. Annabeth had a bronze knife that she reserved just for monsters and people who mess with their stuff. Malcolm grinned at me. We'll wait outside while you finish inspection. The Athena campers filed out the door, while Annabeth cleaned up her bunk. I shuffled uneasily and pretended to go through some more reports. Technically, even on inspection, it was against camp rules for campers to be, like, alone in a cabin. Interesting. That rule had come up a lot when Selena and Beckendorf started dating. And I know some of you might be thinking, aren't all demigods related on the godly side? Doesn't that make dating gross? Come on, Rick. Come on, Rick. I need you to not acknowledge it, because we all know what it is. I need you to all know what it is. But the thing is, the godly side of your family doesn't count. Genetically speaking, since gods don't have DNA, a demigod would never think about dating someone who had the same godly... godly side of your family doesn't count. Genetically speaking, since gods have the same DNA, a demigod would never think about dating someone who had the same godly parent. Like 2 kids from Athena cabin. No way. But a daughter of Aphrodite and a son of Hephaestus, they're not related, so it's not a problem. Come on, man. I mean, they are, but like, they don't really care. Greek mythology is full of incest anyways. Anyway, for some strange reason, I was thinking about this as I watched Annabeth straighten up. She closed her laptop, which had been given to her as a gift from the Adventure Daedalus last summer. I cleared my throat. So, get any good info from that thing? Too much, she said. Daedalus had so many ideas. I could spend 50 years just trying to figure them all out. Yeah, I muttered, that'd be fun. She shuffled her papers, mostly drawing of buildings and a bunch of handwritten notes. I knew she wanted to be an architect someday, but I learned the hard way not to ask what she was working on. She'd start talking about angles and load-bearing joints until my eyes glazed over. You know, she brushed her hair behind her ear, like she does when she's nervous. The whole thing with Beckendorf and Selena, it kind of makes you think about what's important, about losing people who are important. Hey, yo, Sean Zafini, welcome in. Haven't seen you in a bit, probably because I haven't streamed in a bit, but nice to have you regardless anyways. Appreciate you joining the stream. Also, this dialogue is reminding me of, if you guys have ever seen Young Justice, there's a scene in Young Justice towards the end of season 2 where a character dies who's in a relationship like this. A character dies who's in a relationship and the other one is sad, so 2 other characters are like, dang, life's short, best to get together, let's not wait around. Which is honestly, I really love that philosophy. I nodded. My brain started seizing on little random details. Like the fact that she was still wearing those silver owl earrings from her dad, who was this brainiac military history professor in San Francisco. Yeah, I stammered. Like, is everything cool with your family? Okay, really stupid question, but hey, I was nervous. Annabeth looked disappointed, but she nodded. My dad wanted to take me to Greece this summer, she said wistfully. I've always wanted to see the Parthenon, I remembered. She managed to smile. Yeah, that's okay. There'll be other summers, right? As soon as I said it, I realized what a boneheaded comment I realized it was a boneheaded comment. God. Don't remind me. What do you know what I'm talking about? That Young Justice scene? So sad, bro. I was facing the end of my days. Within a week, Olympus might fall. If the age of the gods really did end, the world as we knew it, it would dissolve into chaos. Demigods would be hunted to extinction. There would be no more summers for us. Annabeth stared at her inspection scroll. 3 out of 5, she muttered, for a sloppy-head counselor. Come on, let's finish your reports and get back to Chiron. On the way to the big house, we read the last report, which was handwritten on a maple leaf with a satyr in Canada. If possible, the note made me feel worse. Dear Grover, I was wondering where Grover was. I read aloud. Woods outside Toronto attacked by giant evil badger. Tried to do as you suggested and summon power of Pan. No effect. Many naiads, trees destroyed. Retreating to Ottawa. Please advise. Where are you? Gleason Hedge Protector. Wait, okay. Wait, so is Grover not the only one who can use the power of Pan? Can others use Panic too? Annabeth grimaced. You haven't heard anything from him? Even with your empathy link? I shook my head dejectedly. Yes, bro. Rest in peace to Wally, bro. Young Justice is one of the greatest shows I've ever watched. One of the greatest shows ever. Ever since last summer, when the god Pan had died, our friend Grover had been drifting farther and farther away. The Council of Cloven Elders treated him like an outcast, but Grover still traveled all over the East Coast, trying to spread the word about Pan and convince nature spirits to protect their own little bits of the world. He'd only come back to camp a few times to see his girlfriend Juniper. Last I'd heard, he was in Central Park, organizing the Dryads, but nobody had seen or heard from him in 2 months. We tried to send an Iris message. We tried to send Iris messages. They never got through. I had an empathy link with Grover, so I hoped I would know if anything bad had happened to him. Grover had told me one time that if he died, the empathy link might kill me too, but I wasn't sure if that was still true or not. It probably is true, which probably means Grover's still alive. I wondered if he was still in Manhattan. Then I thought about my dream with Rachel's sketch. Dark clouds closing on the city, an army gathering around the Empire State Building. Annabeth! I stopped her by the tetherball cord. I knew I was asking for trouble, but I didn't know who else to trust. Plus, I'd always depended on Annabeth for advice. Listen, I had this dream about, Rachel. I told her the whole thing, even the weird picture of Luke as a child. For a while, she didn't say anything. Then she rolled up her inspection scroll so tight she ripped it. What do you want me to say? I'm not sure. You're the best strategist I know. If you were Kronos playing this war, what would you do next? I'd use Typhon as a distraction, then I'd hit Olympus directly while the gods were in the west. Just like in Rachel's picture. Percy, she said, in her voice tight. Rachel is just immortal. But what if her dream is true? Those other Titans said Olympus would be destroyed in a matter of days. They said they had plenty of other challenges. And that's with that picture of Luke as a child. And what's with that picture of Luke as a child? We'll just have to be ready. How? I said. Look at our camp. We can't even stop fighting each other. And I'm supposed to get my stupid soul reaped. She threw down her scroll. I knew we shouldn't have shown you the prophecy. Her voice was angry and hurt. All I did was scare you. You run away from things when you're scared. I stared at her completely. Me? Run away? Yeah, I have no idea what she's talking about. I do not remember a single time my boys run away from shit. Why is my nose so itchy? Leave me alone, itch. She got right in my face. Yes, you're a coward, Percy Jackson. What? When has my boy ever run away? What are you talking about? We were nose to nose. Her eyes were red, and I suddenly realized that when she called me a coward, maybe she wasn't talking about the prophecy. Oh, she's talking about yeah. She's talking about relationship. Annabeth, chill. We're fine. If you don't like our chances, she said, maybe you should go on that vacation with Rachel. Annabeth, if you don't like our company, that's not fair. Annabeth, chill out. Chill, Annabeth. She pushed past me and stormed toward the strawberry fields. She had the tetherball as she passed and sent it spinning angrily around the pole. I like to say my day got better from there. Of course it didn't. Yeah. That afternoon, we had an assembly at the campfire to burn Beckendorf's burial shroud and say our goodbyes. Even the Aries and Apollo cabins called a temporary truce to attend. Beckendorf's shroud was made of metal links, like chainmail. I didn't see how it would burn, but the Fates must have been helping out. The metal melted in the fire and turned to golden smoke, which rose into the sky. The campfire flames always reflected the campers' moods, and today they burned black. I hoped Beckendorf's spirit would end up in Elysium. Maybe he'd even choose to be reborn and try for Elysium in three different lifetimes, so he could reach the Isle of the Blessed, which was like the Underworld's ultimate party headquarters. If anyone deserved it, Beckendorf did. Nah, no chill. There's a new predator hunting on her land. Nah, bro. She's not gonna win any favors by being mean. I get it, though. Annabeth left without a word to me. Most of the other campers drifted off to their afternoon activities. I just stood there staring at the dying fire. Selena sat nearby, crying, while Clarice and her boyfriend, Chris Rodriguez, tried to comfort her. Finally, got up the nerve to walk over. Hey, Selena, I'm really sorry. She sniffled. Clarice glared at me, but she always glares at everyone. I love Clarice, bro. Chris would barely look at me. Even one of Luke's men until Clarice rescued him from the labyrinth last summer, and I guess he still felt guilty about it. I cleared my throat. Selena, you know Beckendorf carried your picture. He looked at it right before we went into the battle. It meant a lot to him. You made the last year the best of his life. Selena sobbed. Good work, Percy. No, that's really sweet. Clarice muttered. No, it's all right, I said. It's all right, Selena said. Thank you, Percy. I should go. You want company? Clarice asked. Selena shook her head and ran off. She's stronger than she looks, Clarice muttered. Almost to herself. Clarice muttered almost to herself. She'll survive. You could help with that, I suggested. You could honor Beckendorf's memory by fighting with us. Clarice went for a knife, but it wasn't there anymore. She'd thrown it on the ping pong table in the big house. Not my problem, she growled. My cabin doesn't get honor. My cabin doesn't get honor. I don't fight. I noticed she wasn't speaking in rhymes. Maybe she hadn't been around when her cabin mates got cursed, or maybe she had a way of breaking the spell. With a chill, I wondered if Clarice could be Kronos' spy at camp. Was that why she was keeping her cabin out of the fight? As much as I disliked Clarice, spying for the Titans didn't seem like her style. Yeah, Clarice wants to be your friend and all that. Alright, I told her. I didn't want to bring this up, but you owe me one. You'd be rotting in a Cyclops cave in the Sea of Monsters if it wasn't for me. She clenched her jaw. Any other favor, Percy, not this. No, this. This is the most important one, bro. The Ares cabin have been dissed too many times. And don't think I don't know what people say about me behind my back. I wanted to say, well, it's true, but I bit my tongue. So what? You're just going to let Kronos crush us? I asked. If you want my help so bad, tell Apollo to give us the chariot. You're such a big baby. She charged me, but Chris got between us. Whoa, guys, said. Clarice, you know, maybe he's got a point. She sneered at him. Not you too, she trudged off, with Chris at her heels. Hey, wait, I just meant, Clarice, wait. I watched the last sparks of Beckendorf's fire curl into the afternoon sky. Then I headed toward the sword fighting arena. I needed a break, and I wanted to see an old friend. Mrs. O'Leary. He's obviously going to see Mrs. O'Leary. But, solid chapter. Not as crazy as the other three. Not at all. It's a very chill chapter, which honestly is probably for the best. You need some character moments to break up the shit. I don't see how Clarice can be this stubborn, though. Like, if you don't fight and you lose, Kronos will, like Kronos will kill you, and then you're gonna regret it. You're gonna be like, dang, I wish I fought. Like, Ares cabin can't take on Kronos by themselves, you know? You need everybody. It just doesn't make any sense why she would even want that to happen. Also, but we spent a little too much time in this chapter with the inspection stuff. It was whatever, though. But yeah, that last scene was good. I like that last bit. I always loved Clarice and Percy interactions. I love their rivalry, even though I wish Clarice was more prominent in the story. Like, I wish we got to see more of Clarice, like, bickering with Percy and, like arguing in, like, fights and stuff and, like, trying to one-up him and shit like that. But every time they are together, I love their relationship. It's great. One of my favorite dynamics in the series, to be honest. But yeah, good solid chapter. 3 out of 5. Yeah, just like, what's his? Oh yeah, Clarice. Oh yeah, Clarice, everyone's friend, so kind, understanding, truly the empathetic link that ties everyone together. I mean, she's not, but I like her. She's cool. I like Clarice's character. She's fun. She's like if Bakugo wasn't loud and annoying all the time. I think the inspections was supposed to emphasize how distant Percy and Annabeth are being. Percy and Annabeth have been distant ever since, like, the middle of Battle of the Labyrinth, bro. Because Annabeth is too busy being jealous. Like, she needs to get over it. That was my interpretation, at least. Possibly. Annabeth straight up needs to get over it. Like, you're not gonna... I don't know. I just think that's kind of annoying. But I get it. Like, I get where she's coming from. But also, it's kind of annoying. Like, chill out. Like, it's not that serious. The end of the world is at stake. We have more important matters. Well, no, I guess not. She was like, yeah, I actually respect it. Even Bakugo knows when to shut up and work together as a team. Let's not get too crazy now. Let's not get insane. Like, maybe you're up to date on My Hero. I haven't watched My Hero since season 4. Since, like, mid-season 4. So I haven't seen Bakugo's character arc. But before, Bakugo was like, nah, fuck you, Deku, I'm not helping you fight. Like, I was like, no, so that's not true. That is straight up just not true. And we're not at the end of Clarice's character arc either, so I'm sure she's gonna help in the final fight. I don't imagine Rick having this final fight without my girl Clarice being there. You know, so yeah. But yes, solid beginning. I am hoping this next chapter is better though. Obviously. Yeah. Let us read more. This is good. I do like how even now Annabeth being aggressive is not out of character. It's not. It's not out of character at all. It's just annoying. But I make it perfectly makes sense for everything. Because Percy is being a little bitch. That's true. He's like, Annabeth is clearly liking him. And Percy's like, oh, woe is me. You know? But yeah. Ish whatever. Hopefully we get to see Rachel though. I want to see more Rachel. Anyways. Shit, I just threw my bookmark on the floor. Let me grab that. Okay. Let us continue. Chapter 5. I drive my dog into a tree. You should never do that, as a rule of thumb. Mrs. O'Leary saw me before I saw her, which is a pretty good trick, considering she's the size of a garbage truck. I walked into the arena and a wall of darkness slammed into me. Woof! The next thing I knew, I was flat on the ground with a huge paw on my chest and an oversized Brillo pad tongue licked my face. Ow, I said. Hey girl, good to see you too. Ow. It took a few minutes for Mrs. O'Leary to calm down and get off me. By then I was pretty much drenched in dog drool. That's nasty as fuck. She wanted to play fetch, so I picked up a bronze shield and tossed it across the arena. By the way, Mrs. O'Leary is the world's only friendly hellhound. I kind of inherited her when her previous owner died. She lived at camp, but Beckendorf... What are you doing, Rick? He's like, bro, you gotta stop with the Beckendorf, bro. You can't keep making me love Beckendorf even after he's dead. Fuck you. He's not even woe is me, he's just straight up ignoring her feelings. He is! Because he's just, I don't know, he's a little wimp. He's been a little wimp about it. But Beckendorf used to take care of her whenever I was gone. He had smelted Mrs. O'Leary's favorite bronze chewing bone. He'd forged her collar with a little smiley face and a crossbones and aim. Next to me, Beckendorf had been her best friend. Thinking about that made me sad all over again. But I threw the shield a few more times because Mrs. O'Leary insisted. Soon, she started barking, a sound slightly louder than an artillery gun. Like she needed to go for a walk. The other campers didn't think it was funny when she went to the bathroom in the arena, and it caused more than one unfortunate slip and slide accident. So I opened the gates of the arena and she bounded straight toward the woods. I jogged after her, not too concerned that she was getting ahead. Nothing in the woods could threaten Mrs. O'Leary. Even the dragons and giant scorpions ran away when she came close. When I finally tracked her down, she wasn't using the facilities. She was in a familiar clearing where the Council of Cloven Elders had once put Grover on trial. The place didn't look so good. The grass had turned yellow, the three topiary thrones had lost all their leaves. But that's not what surprised me. In the middle of the glade stood the weirdest trio I'd ever seen. Juniper the Tree Nymph, Nico D'Angelo, and a very old, very fat satyr. Interesting. Nico, why are you here? When did you hear? What the hell? Nico was the only one who didn't seem freaked out by Mrs. O'Leary's appearance. He looked pretty much like I'd seen him in my dreams. An aviator's jacket, black jeans, and a t-shirt with dancing skeletons on it. Nico, you gotta get your new drip, bro. Unless you're washing that like all the time, you probably smell like shit. Like one of those Day of the Dead pictures. His Stygian iron sword hung at his side. He was only 12, but he looked much older and sadder. He nodded when he saw me, then went back to scratching Miss O'Leary's ears. She sniffed his legs like he was the most interesting thing. He was the most interesting thing since ribeye steaks. Being the son of Hades, he'd probably been traveling in all sorts of hellhound-friendly places. The old satyr didn't look nearly so happy. Well, what is this underworld creature doing in my forest? He waved his arms and trod on his hooves as if the grass were hot. You there, Percy Jackson, is this your beast? Sorry, Linnaeus, I said. That's your name, right? The satyr rolled his eyes. His fur was dust bunny gray, and a spider web grew between his horns. His belly would have made him an invincible bumper car. Well, of course I'm Linnaeus. Don't tell me you've forgotten a member of the council so quickly. Now call off your beast. Woof, Mrs. O'Leary said happily. The old satyr gulped. Make it go away, Juniper. I will not help you under these circumstances. Juniper turned toward me. She was pretty in a dryad-y way, with her purple gossamer dress and her elvish face, but her eyes were green-tinted with chlorophyll from crying. Percy, she sniffled. I was just asking about Grover. I know something's happened. He wouldn't stay gone this long if he wasn't in trouble. I was hoping that Linnaeus... I told you, the satyr protested. You were better off without that traitor. Juniper stamped her foot. He's not a traitor. He's the bravest satyr ever, and I want to know where he is. Woof. Linnaeus' knee started knocking. I won't answer. So he knows. I won't answer questions with his hellhound stifling my tail. Really quickly, this is kind of... I'm just noticing, this is the first book without, like, any direct quest. Like, what I mean by that is, like, there's a prophecy, like every other book, but it's usually, like, Lightning Thief. You will go to face the god, you will go west to face the god who is turned. They leave across America to go to the underworld. Sea of Monsters, you must go to the Sea of Monsters when they do that. Freaking Titan's Curse, you must go to San Francisco and face the Titan's Curse, whatever, boom. Battle Labyrinth, you must go to the Labyrinth and find Daedalus. They all this. And this, it's just like, at least so far, it's like, yeah, there's a war coming, we gotta do some shit. But maybe once Nico's plan gets revealed, it'll probably be like, this is the thing that we need to be doing, that we're gonna be doing for the most of the book. Miss O'Leary has lost 2 masters. Yeah, that's so sad. Rick is taking every opportunity to curb stomp you while you're on the ground crying. That's so facts. He loves to make us hurt. He does that way too often. Gotta go for a bit. Catch you soon. All right, Chauncey. It was nice having you while you were here. Hopefully you can rejoin the stream if you got some time. If I was in Percy's shoes, I wouldn't have acted on Annabeth's feelings too, just because there's a 250% chance I'm dying within the next week, and didn't want to burden her with that. This is fair. This is very fair. But we didn't hear him think that, so I don't know if that's what he's thinking. Nico looked like he was trying not to crack up. I'll walk the dog, he volunteered. He whistled, and Mrs. O'Leary bounded after him to the far end of the grove. Linnaeus huffed indignantly and brushed the twigs off his shirt. Now as I was trying to explain, young lady, your boyfriend has not sent any reports since we voted him into exile. You tried to vote him into exile, I corrected. Karen and Dionysus stopped you. Bah! They are honorary council members. It wasn't a proper vote. I'll tell Dionysus you said that. Linnaeus felt. I only meant
Now see here, Jackson, this is none of your business. Grover's my friend, I said. He wasn't lying to you about Perrin's death. I saw it myself. You were just too scared to accept the truth. It's crazy that it's been like a whole year, and they still haven't accepted that shit. They're probably sending satyrs out still. Linus's lips quivered. No, Grover's a liar and a good riddance. We're better off without him. I pointed at the withered thrones. If things are going so well, where are your friends? Looks like your council hasn't been meeting lately. Marin and Selinus? I'm sure they'll be back, he said, but I could hear the panic in his voice. They're just taking some time off to think. It's been a very unsettling year. It's going to get a lot more unsettling, I promised. Linus, we need Grover. There's got to be a way you can find him with your magic. The old satyr's eye twitched. I'm telling you, I've heard nothing. Perhaps he's dead. Juniper choked back a sob. He's not dead, I said. I can feel that much. Empathy links, Linus said disdainfully. Very unreliable. So ask around, I insisted. Find him. There's a war coming. Grover was preparing the nature spirits. Without permission? It's not our war. It is your war. It definitely is your war if you want to live. I grabbed him by the shirt, which seriously wasn't like me, but the stupid old goat was making me mad. Listen, Linus, when Kronos attacks, he's going to have packs of hellhounds. He's going to destroy everything in his path, mortals, gods, demigods. Do you think he'll let the satyrs go free? You're supposed to be a leader, so lead. Get out there and see what's happening. Find Grover and bring Juniper some news. Now go! Dang, Percy. Dang, okay. I didn't push him very hard, but he was kind of top-heavy. He fell on his furry rump, then scrambled to his hoofs and ran away with his belly jiggling. Grover will never be accepted. He will die an outcast. When he disappeared into the bushes, Juniper wiped her eyes. I'm sorry, Percy. I didn't mean to get you involved. Linus is still a lord of the wild. You don't want to make an enemy of him. No problem, I said. I've got worse enemies than overweight satyrs. Damn, bro. Percy's coming for everyone. Nico walked back to us. Good job, Percy. Judging from the trail of goat pellets, I'd say you shook him up pretty well. I was afraid I knew why Nico was here, but I tried for a smile. Welcome back. Did you come by just to see Juniper? He blushed. No. That was an accident. I kind of dropped in the middle of their conversation. You scared us to death, Juniper said. Right out of the shadows. But Nico, you are the son of Hades and all. Are you sure you haven't heard anything about Grover? Nico shifted his weight. Juniper, like I tried to tell you, even if Grover died, he would reincarnate into something else in nature. I can't sense things like that. Only mortal souls. I wonder if he's gonna say anything about Beckendorf. But if you do hear anything, she pleaded, putting her hands on his arm, anything at all. Nico's cheeks got even brighter red. You bet. I'll keep my eyes open. We'll find him, Juniper, I promise. Grover's alive, I'm sure. There must be a simple reason why he hasn't contacted us. She nodded glumly. I hate not being able to leave the forest. He could be anywhere, and I'm stuck here, waiting. Oh, if that silly goat has gotten himself hurt. Mrs. O'Leary bounded back over and took interest in Juniper's dress. Juniper yelped. Oh no, you don't. I know about dogs and trees. I'm gone. Mrs. O'Leary went to pee on her. That's so funny. She went poof into green mist. Mrs. O'Leary looked disappointed. She really wanted to pee on Juniper. But she lumbered off to find another target, leaving Nico and me alone. Nico tapped his sword on the ground. A tiny mound of animal bones erupted from the dirt. That's such a cool... Nico's so cool. They knit themselves together in a skeletal field. Mouse and scampered off. I was sorry to hear about Beckendorf. A lump formed in my throat. How did you... Damn it, he's dead. He's so dead. I was still holding out hope, but he's super dead. How'd you... I talked to his ghost. Oh right. I never get used to the fact that this 12-year-old kid spent more time talking with the dead than the living. Did he say anything? He doesn't blame you. He figured you'd be beating yourself up, and he said you shouldn't. Is he going to try for rebirth? Nico shook his head. He's staying in Elysium. Said he's waiting for someone. Not sure what he meant, but he seems okay with death. It wasn't much comfort, but it was something. I had a vision you were on Mount Tam. I told Nico, was that real? He said. I didn't mean to be spying on the Titans, but I was in the neighborhood. Nico was so cool. Nico was just like off doing his own thing all the time. Doing what? Nico tugged at his sword belt, following a lead on, my family. I nodded. I knew his past was a painful subject. Until 2 years ago, he and his sister Bianca have been frozen in time at a place called the Lotus Hotel and Casino. They'd been there for like 70 years. Eventually, a mysterious lawyer rescued them, and he checked them into a boarding school. But Nico had no memories of his life before the casino. He didn't know anything about his mother. He didn't know who the lawyer was, or why they'd been frozen in time or allowed to go free. After Bianca died and left Nico alone, he'd been obsessed with finding answers. So how did it go? I asked. Any luck? No, he murmured. But I may have a new lead soon. What's the lead? Nico chewed his lips. That's not important right now. You know why I'm here. A feeling of dread started to build up in my chest. Ever since Nico first proposed his plan for beating Kronos last summer, I'd had nightmares about it. He would show up occasionally and press me for an answer, but I kept putting it off. Nico, I don't know, I said. It seems pretty extreme. You've got Typhon coming in, what, a week? Most of the other Titans are unleashed now, and on Kronos' side. Maybe it's time to think extreme. Yeah, Percy, do we have any other plans? Like, I haven't heard you mention any other ideas. Like what else are we gonna do? Yeah, that's my reasoning, but I think Percy's just a deer in headlights. Not a thought in his head. After Titan's curse, Rick is not taking any chances with people holding on to false hope. Apparently not. If they're dead, they're dead, bro. Nope. He's like the opposite Oda. He's like, you don't need to confirm with a body. If somebody says they're dead, them motherfuckers is definitely not alive. Like, I looked back toward the camp. Even from this distance, I could hear the Ares and Apollo's campers fighting again, yelling curses and spouting bad poetry. They're no match for the Titan army, Nico said. You know that. This comes down to you and Luke. There's only one way you can beat Luke. I remembered the fight on the Princess Andromeda. I had been hopelessly outmatched. Kronos had almost killed me with a single cut to my arm, and I couldn't even wound him. Riptide had glanced right off his skin. We can give you the same power, Nico urged. You heard the great prophecy. Unless you want to have your soul reaped by a cursed blade. I wonder how Nico had heard the prophecy. Probably from some ghost. You can't prevent the prophecy, I said, but you can fight it. Nico had a strange, hungry light in his eyes. You can become invincible. What are we doing? Maybe we should wait. Try to fight without... No! Nico snarled. It has to be now! I stared at him. I hadn't seen his temper flare like that in a long time. You sure you're okay? He took a deep breath. Percy, all I mean, when the fighting starts, we won't be able to make the journey. This is our last chance. I'm sorry if I'm being pushy, but 2 years ago, my sister gave her life to protect you. I want you to honor that. Do whatever it takes to stay alive and defeat Kronos. I didn't like the idea, but I thought about Annabeth calling me a coward, and I got angry. Nico had a point. If Kronos attacked New York, the cameras would be no match for his forces. I had to do something. Nico's way was dangerous, maybe even deadly, but it might give me a fighting edge. Alright, I decided. What do we do first? Let's go. What's this plan? Tell me all about it. I want to hear it. What is it? His cold, creepy smile made me sorry I'd agreed. First, we'll need to retrace Luke's steps. Jesus Christ. But we need to know more about his past. More about his past. It's his childhood. Okay. I shuddered, thinking about Rachel's picture from my dream. A smiling 9-year-old Luke. Why do we need to know about that? I'll explain when we get there, Nico said. I've already tracked down his mother. She lives in Connecticut. I stared at him. I never thought much about Luke's mortal parent. I met his dad, Hermes, but his mom... Luke ran away when he was really young, I said. I didn't think his mom was alive. Oh, she's alive. The way you said it made me wonder what was wrong with her. What kind of horrible person could she be? Okay, I said. So how do we get to Connecticut? I could call Blackjack. No, Nico scowled. Because I don't like me. And the feeling is mutual. There's no need for flying, he whistled. And Miss O'Leary came loping out of the woods. Your friend here could help. Nico patted her head. You haven't tried shadow travel yet. What did you just say to me? Shadow travel? Nico whimpered in Miss O'Leary's ear. She tilted her head and suddenly alert. Hop on board, Nico told me. I never considered riding a dog before, but Miss O'Leary was certainly big enough. I climbed onto her back and held her collar. This will make her very tired, Nico warned, so you can't do it too often, and it works best at night. But all shadows are part of the same substance. There is only one darkness, and creatures of the underworld can use it as a road or a door. I don't understand, I said. No, Nico said. It took me a long time to learn, but Mrs. O'Leary knows. Tell her where to go. Tell her Westport, the home of May Castellan. You're not coming? Don't worry, he said. I'll meet you there. I was a little nervous, but I leaned down to Mrs. O'Leary's ear. Okay, girl, can you take me to Westport, Connecticut, May Castellan's place? Mrs. O'Leary sniffed the air. She looked into the gloom forest, then she bounded forward, straight into the oak tree. Just before we hit, we passed into shadows as the cold, dark side of the into shadows as cold as the dark side of the moon. Damn. For the first time in forever, my throat getting very warm while we're reading. But that would have been a nice chapter to end on, Bonnie. You were right. You were right. But I think the prophecy chapter was also nice. Shit though. So that's how Nico gets around everywhere so often. He goes through the shadows. That's cool. I did not know that was a thing that he did. But that's, hold on. Okay. Cool. I didn't know that was a thing that he did, but that's awesome. Shadow travel would be the most powerful if you didn't need to nap after each jump. Yeah, apparently you get mad tired. But it makes sense. Powerful abilities need to be nerfed. Nico can't be like just bouncing from shadow to shadow in the middle of a fight. That'd be too overpowered. Even though how cool it'd be so cool. But we can't let him be doing that. It's just not okay. As a story principle, you just can't let your character be that overpowered. But all right, that was a cool one. I know some things about Luke's mother, only because the first season of the Percy Jackson show tells you about Luke's mom, way ahead of the story apparently. But I like that they're switching stuff around to kind of probably emphasize the importance of certain things. But yeah, obviously I don't know everything, so I'm very curious to see what the deal is with May Castellan. Nico cannot be using the flying Raijin. This is true. Nico would be so goated if he could though. He'd be finessing everyone, even probably Percy. Right now, Percy is like the strongest though. Like, actually, I don't know. Thalia might be stronger than him. I don't know. It might be Thalia who's the strongest. To be honest, I don't know. Out of the kids who go to camp, Percy is the strongest though. That's just true. But Thalia might be stronger than him. Nico is definitely not. But at most, Percy's the second strongest. Alright. Madison uses the shadows to sneak into an enemy camp, grabbing their leader and using the shadows to leave. That'd be so cool. I wonder why Nico didn't do that before Luke became Kronos. He did say it took him a while to learn, so you could easily say that he didn't know until it was too late. Might have learned it recently. Who knows? But Nico has just been appearing places. Actually, he's only been appearing places since the end of Battle of the Labyrinth, so that's probably when he learned it. Because he kind of, ever since then, he's been appearing at random spots, like Percy's birthday party, freaking here, you know? And I like that. I like that Nico just like, boop. Okay, hi. We gotta do a thing. Okay, later. That's so cool. Nico is easily a top 5 character for me. But yes. We are making our way through this book. We've officially read like 1/5 of it, I think. Maybe 1/4. I can't tell. It has been a year since the labyrinth. That is true. Remember, Nico has only been experimenting with his powers for 2 years, while Percy has had 3 years. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that doesn't, like, kind of mean anything, though, to be completely honest. Like, Percy can't shadow walk. Like, that's never has a thing that he, like, needed to learn. That's, like, one of Nico's abilities, though. So, like, that's something like, he probably should have learned at the beginning. But it doesn't matter that he didn't learn at the beginning. It's just, like, when he learned it, shit. If he did learn it before, Luke would probably be dead. But he's not, so he didn't. That's fine. It's not a critique. It's just, like, it's what it is. Okay. Next freaking chapter. My throat is starting to hurt a little bit, but we are going to get through this. Because I want to know what happens. I especially want to know this plan. They're still keeping secret from us. Yeah, but Percy's powers have become stronger each year. This is true. Percy is much stronger than he was in the first book. Way stronger. And he beat Ares in the first book. Beat Ares. But yeah. Okay. Chapter 6. My cookies get scorched. I don't recommend shadow travel if you're scared of the dark, cold shivers up your spine, strange noises, going so fast you feel like your face is peeling off. I like all of those things. Okay, it would be good. In other words, I thought it was awesome. Let's go. Me and Percy on that Wi-Fi. One minute, I couldn't see anything. I could only see Mrs. O'Leary's fur and my fingers wrapped around the bronze links of her dog collar. The next minute, the shadows melted into a new scene. We were on a cliff in the woods of Connecticut. At least it looked like Connecticut from the few times I've been there. Lots of trees, low stone walls, big houses down one side of the cliff. I'm gonna take my earbuds out. It's only for the music anyway. It doesn't matter. What is it? Down on one side of the cliff. A highway cut through a ravine. Down the other side was someone's backyard. The property was huge and more wilderness than lawn. The house was a two-story white colonial. Was a two-story white colonial. Despite the fact that it was right on the other side of the hill of the highway, it felt like it was the middle of nowhere. I could see a light glowing in the kitchen window. A rusty old swing set stood under an apple tree. No way. Luke has his own swing set, Kun? That's crazy. Luke is Naruto. I couldn't imagine living in a house like this, with an actual yard and everything. I lived in a tiny apartment or a school dorm my whole life. If this was Luke's home, I wondered why he'd ever wanted to leave. Mrs. O'Leary staggered. I remember what Nico had said about shadow travel draining her, so I slipped off her back, shut out a huge toothy yawn that would have scared a T-Rex, then turned in a circle and flopped down so hard the ground shook. Nico appeared right next to me, as if the shadows had darkened and created him. That's so cool. He stumbled, but I caught his arm. I'm okay, he managed, rubbing his eyes. How did you do that? Practice. A few times running into walls, a few accidental trips to China. Mrs. O'Leary started snoring. If it hadn't been for the roar of traffic behind us, I'm sure she would have woken up the whole neighborhood. Are you going to take a nap too? I asked Nico. He shook his head. The first time I shadow traveled, I passed out for a week. Dang. Now it just makes me a little drowsy, but I can't do it more than once or twice a night. Mrs. O'Leary won't be going anywhere for a while. Then why didn't you just get on Mrs. O'Leary, bro? You didn't have to flex. Mrs. O'Leary won't be going anywhere for a while, so we've got some quality time in Connecticut. I gaze at the white colonial house. What now? Also, Percy just straight up left without telling anybody at camp. Annabeth doesn't know where he is. Kyra doesn't know where he is. Freaking Selena Beauregard doesn't know where he is. Nobody knows where this man is. He just left. Straight up. Juniper doesn't even know where he is. So like, okay, whatever. No way. Luke's swing set gets more screen time than no way Luke's swing gets more screen time than Naruto's. Then again, Naruto's swing gets more screen time
than Percy does in his own books. That's actually facts. Swingset Kun is the main character of the story. Where was I? Okay. I gazed at the white colonial house. What now? We ring the doorbell, Nico said. If I were Luke's mom, I would not have opened my door at night for two strange kids. But I wasn't anything like Luke's mom. Okay. What was she like, Perce? I knew that even before we reached the front door. The sidewalk was lined with those little stuffed beanbag animals you see in gift shops. There were miniature lions, pigs, dragons, hydras, and even a teeny minotaur in a little diaper. Judging from their sad shape, the beanbag creatures have been sitting out here for a long time. Since the snow melted last spring at least. One of the hydras had a tree sapling spreading between its necks. The front porch was infested with wind chimes, shiny bits of glass, and metal clinked in the breeze. Brass ribbons tinkled like water and made me realize I needed to use the bathroom. I didn't know how Miss Castellan could stand all the noise. The front door was painted turquoise. The name Castellan was written in English and below in Greek. Nico looked at me. Ready? He barely tapped the door when it swung open. Luke! The old lady cried happily. Oh no, this is about to be sad. This is about to be sad. This is the third time Percy has left camp without permission. Yeah. Yeah. He has a habit of doing that. She looked like someone who enjoyed her fingers, who enjoyed sticking her fingers in electrical sockets. Her white hair stuck out in tufts all over her head. Her pink house dress was covered in scorch marks and smears of ash. When she smiled, her face looked unnaturally stretched, and the high voltage light in her eyes made me wonder if she was blind. Oh my dear boy, shook Nico. I was trying to figure out why she thought Nico was Luke. They looked absolutely nothing alike. When she smiled at me and said, Luke! She forgot all about Nico and gave me a hug. What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? She smelled like a burned cookie. She was as thin as a scarecrow. But that didn't stop her from almost crushing me. Come in, she insisted. I have your lunch ready. What the fuck is going on? She ushered us inside. The living room was even weirder than the front lawn. Mirrors and candles filled every available space. I couldn't look anywhere without seeing my own reflection. Above the mantel, a little bronze Hermes flew around the second hand of a ticking clock. I tried to imagine the god of messengers ever falling in love with his old woman. The idea was too bizarre. Then I noticed the framed picture on the mantel, and I froze. It was exactly like Rachel's sketch. Luke around 9 years old, with blonde hair and a big smile and 2 missing teeth. The lack of a scar on his face made him look like a different person, carefree, happy. How could Rachel have known about that picture? This way, my dear, Miss Castellan steered toward me at the back of the house. Oh, I told them you would come back. I knew it. She sat us down at the kitchen table. Stacked on the counter were hundreds of Tupperware boxes with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches inside. The ones on the bottom were green and fuzzy, like they'd been there for a long time. The smell reminded me of my 6th grade locker, and that's not a good thing. On top of the oven was a stack of cookie sheets. Each one had a dozen burned cookies on it. In the sink was a mountain of empty plastic Kool-Aid pitchers. A beanbag Medusa set by the faucet, like she was guarding the mess. Miss Castellan started humming as she got out peanut butter and jelly and started making a new sandwich. Something was burning in the oven. I got the feeling more cookies were on the way. Above the sink, taped all around the window, were dozens of little pictures cut from magazines and newspaper ads. Pictures of Hermes from the FTD Flowers logo, and Quickie Cleaners pictures of Caduceus from the medical ads. My heart sank. I wanted to get out of that room, but Miss Castellan kept smiling at me as she made the sandwich, like she was making sure I didn't bolt. What the hell? This whole chapter is just super sad. I can tell. What the hell? She's making a new sandwich. Da, da, da. Dozens of little pictures cut from magazines, newspaper ads, pictures of Hermes. Okay. Nico coughed. Miss Castellan, we need to talk about your son. We need to ask you about your son. Oh yes,
They told me he would never come back, but I knew better. She patted my cheek affectionately, giving me peanut butter racing stripes. When did you last see him? Nico asked. Her eyes lost focus. He was so young when he left, she said wistfully. 3rd grade. That's too young to run away. He said he'd be back for lunch, and I waited. He likes peanut butter sandwiches and cookies and Kool-Aid. He'll be back for lunch very soon. Then she looked at me and smiled. Why, Luke, there you are. You look so handsome. You have your father's eyes. Fuck, bro. Dude.
What the hell? What the actual hell?
She turned toward the picture of Hermes above the sink. Now there's a good man. Yes, indeed. He comes to visit me, you know. The clock kept ticking in the other room. I wiped the peanut butter off my face and looked at Nico pleadingly. Can we get out of here now? Ma'am, Nico said. What happened to your eyes? Her gaze seemed fractured, like she was trying to focus on him through a kaleidoscope. Why, Luke, you know the story. It was right before you were born, wasn't it? I'd always been special, able to see through the whatever they call it, the mist. I said, yes, dear. She nodded encouragingly. And they offered me an important job. That's how special I was. I glanced at Nico, but he looked as confused as I was. What sort of job? I asked. What happened? Miss Castellan frowned. Her knife hovered over the sandwich bread. Dear me, it didn't work out, did it? Your father warned me not to try. He said it was too dangerous, but I had to. It was my destiny, and now I still can't get the images out of my head. They make everything seem so fuzzy. Would you like some cookies? She pulled the tray out of the oven and dumped a dozen lumps of chocolate chip charcoal on the table. Luke was so kind, Miss Castellan murmured. He left to protect me, you know. He said if he went away, the monsters wouldn't threaten me. But I told him the monsters are no threat. They sit outside on the sidewalk all day, and they never come in. She picked up the little stuffed Medusa from the windowsill. Do they, Mrs. Medusa? No threat at all. What the fuck, bro? Dude, oh man, this is hard. This is hard. She beamed at me. I'm so glad you came home. I knew you weren't ashamed of me. What in the world? I shifted in my seat. I imagined being Luke sitting at this table, 8 or 9 years old, and just beginning to realize that my mother wasn't all there. Miss Castellan, I said. Mom, she corrected. Yeah. Have you seen Luke since he left home? Well, of course. I didn't know if she was imagining that or not. For all I knew, every time the mailman came to the door, he was Luke. But Nico sat forward expectantly. When? He asked. When did Luke visit you last? Well, it was, oh goodness. A shadow passed across her face. The last time he looked so different. A scar, a terrible scar, and his voice so full of pain. His eyes, I said, were they gold? Gold? She blinked. No, that was silly. Luke has blue eyes, beautiful blue eyes. So Luke really had been here. And this had happened before last summer, before we turned into Kronos. Miss Castellan, Nico put his hands on this old woman's arm. This is very important. Did he ask you for anything? She frowned as if trying to remember. My blessing? Isn't that sweet? She looked at us uncertainly. He was going to a river, and he said he needed my blessing. I gave it to him. Of course I did. Nico looked at me triumphantly. Thank you, ma'am. That's all the information we... Miss Castellan gasped. She doubled over, and her cookie tray clattered onto the floor. Nico and I jumped to our feet. Miss Castellan? I said. Ah! She straightened and scrambled away and almost fell over the kitchen table because her eyes were glowing green. Okay. My child, she rasped in a much deeper voice. Must protect him. Hermes, help. Not my child. Not his fate, no. She grabbed Nico by the shoulders and began to shake him as if to make him understand. Not his fate. Nico made a strangled scream and pushed her away. He gripped the hilt of his sword. Percy, we need to get out. Suddenly, Miss Castellan collapsed. I lurched forward and caught her before she hit the edge of the table. I managed to get her into the chair. Miss C, I asked. She muttered something incomprehensible and shook her head. Goodness, I dropped the cookies. How silly of me. She blinked, and her eyes were back to normal, or at least what they have seen before. The green glow was gone. Are you okay? I asked. Well, of course, dear, I'm fine. Why do you ask? I glanced at Nico, who mouthed the word, leave. Miss C, you were telling us something, I said. Something about your son. Was I? She said dreamily. Yes, his blue eyes. We were talking about his blue eyes. Such a handsome boy. We have to go, Nico said urgently. We'll tell Luke, we'll tell him you said hello. But you can't leave, Miss Castellan said, got shakily to her feet, and I backed away. I felt silly being scared of her frail old woman. The way her voice had changed, the way she'd grabbed Nico. Hermes will be here soon, she promised. He'll want to see his boy. Maybe next time, I said. Thank you for it. I looked down at the burned cookies, scattered on the floor. Thanks for everything. She tried to stop us, to offer us Kool-Aid, but I had to get out of the house. On the front porch, she grabbed my wrist, and I almost jumped out of my skin. Luke, at least be safe. Promise me you'll be safe. I will, Mom. Ooh. That's hard. That's hard to read. What the oof, shit. That made her smile. She realized she released my wrist, and as she closed the front door, I could hear her talking to the candles. You hear that? He'll be safe. I told you he would be. As the door shut, Nico and I ran. Who takes care of her? Who takes care of her? The little beanbag animals, maybe it's Hermes, on the sidewalk seemed to grin at us as we passed. Back at the cliff, Mrs. O'Leary had found a friend. A cozy campfire crackled in a ring of stones. A girl about 8 years old was sitting cross-legged next to Mrs. O'Leary, scratching the hellhound's ear. The girl had mousy brown hair and a simple brown dress. She wore a scarf over her head, and she looked like a pioneer kid, like the ghost of Little House on the Prairie or something. She poked the fire with a stick, and it seemed to glow more richly red than a normal fire. Hello, she said. My first thought was, monster. When you're a demigod and you find a sweet little girl in the woods, that's typically a good time to draw your sword and attack. This is true. If I was him, I'd be drawing my sword at every third person. That like, I would not be giving anybody no chances, bro. Plus, the encounter with Miss Castellan had rattled me pretty bad. But Nico bowed to this little girl. Hello again, lady. She studied me with eyes as red as the firelight. I decided it was safest to bow. Sit, Percy, she said. Would you like some dinner? After staring at moldy peanut butter sandwiches and burned cookies, I didn't have much of an appetite, but the girl waved her hand, and a picnic appeared at the edge of the fire. There was plates of roast beef, baked potatoes, buttered carrots, fresh bread, and a whole bunch of other foods I hadn't had in a long time. My stomach started to rumble. It was the kind of home-cooked meal people are supposed to have, but never do. The girl made a 5-foot-long dog biscuit appear from Mrs. O'Leary, who happily began tearing it to shreds. I sat next to Nico. We picked up our food, and I was about to dig in when I thought better of it. I scraped part of my meal into the flames, the way we do at camp. For the god, I said. The little girl smiled. Thank you. As tender of a flame, as tender of the flame, I get a share of every sacrifice, you know. What? Who are you? I recognize you now, I said. The first time I came to camp, you were sitting by the fire, in the middle of the commons area. You did not stop to talk, the girl recalled sadly. Alas, most never do. Nico talked to me. He was the first in many years. Everyone rushes about. No time for visiting family. You're Hestia, I said. Goddess of the hearth. Interesting. So she was... I wonder if I go back and read it, will Percy mention anything? But probably not. Okay, so she looked 8 years old. I didn't ask. I'd learned that the gods could look any way they pleased. My lady, Nico asked, why aren't you with the other Olympians fighting Typhon? I'm not much for fighting, her red eyes flickered. I realized they weren't just reflecting the flame. They were filled with flames, but not like Ares's. Hestia's eyes were warm and cozy. Besides, she said, Someone has to keep the home fires burning while the other gods are away. So you're guarding Mount Olympus, I asked? Guard may be too strong a word. But if you ever need a warm place to sit and home-cooked meal, you're welcome to visit. Now eat. Hestia seems sweet. We haven't had a conversation with Demeter yet. I was literally just thinking that. We talked to basically every single god except Demeter, and I really want to talk to her. They didn't mention her all the way back in book 1. That's so cool. I love that. Dang, that means Rick was on his game foreshadowing, bro. That's so great. My plate was empty before I knew it. Nico scarfed his down just as fast. That was great, I said. Thank you, Hestia. She nodded. Did you have a good visit with May Castellan? For a moment, I almost forgot the old lady with her bright eyes and her maniacal smile, the way she'd suddenly seemed possessed. What's wrong with her exactly, I asked. She was born with a gift, Hestia said. She could see through the mist. Like my mother, I said. That was all... Yeah, Percy's mother was a seer too. And also thinking, like Rachel. But the glowing eyes thing, some bear the curse of sight better than others. The goddess said sadly, for a while, May Castellan had many talents. She attracted the attention of Hermes himself. They had a beautiful baby boy. For a brief time, she was happy, and then she went too far. I remember what Miss Castellan had said. They offered me an important job. It didn't work out. I wondered what kind of job left you like that. 1 minute, she was all happy, I said, and then she was freaking out about her son's fate. Like she knew he turned into Kronos. What happened to divide her like that? The goddess's face darkened. That is a story I do not like to tell. But May Castellan saw too much. If you are to understand your enemy Luke, you must understand his family. I thought about the sad little pictures of Hermes tanked above May Castellan's sink. I wondered if Miss Castellan had been so crazy when Luke was little. That green-eyed fit could have seriously scared a 9-year-old kid. And if Hermes never visited, if he'd left Luke alone with his mom all those years. No wonder Luke ran away, I said. I mean, it wasn't right to leave his mom like that, but still, he was just a kid. Hermes shouldn't have abandoned them. Hestia scratched behind Miss O'Leary's ears. The hellhound wagged her tail and accidentally knocked over a tree. It's so easy to judge others, Hestia warned. But will you follow Luke's paths? Seek the same powers? Nico set down his plate. You have no choice, my lady. It's the only way Percy stands a chance. Hestia opened her hand. The fire roared. Flame shot 30 feet into the air. Heat slammed me in the face, and the fire died back down to normal. Not all powers are spectacular. Hestia looked at me. Sometimes the hardest power to master is the power of yielding. Do you believe me? I said. Percy does not believe that shit. Percy does not believe me for a second. Anything to keep her from messing with her flame powers again. The goddess smiled. You are a good hero, Percy Jackson. Not too proud. I like that. But you have much to learn. When Dionysus was made a god, I gave him my throne for him. It was the only way to avoid a civil war among the gods. It unbalanced the council, I remembered sadly. There were 7 guys and 5 girls. Hestia shrugged. It was the best solution, not a perfect one. Now I tend the fire. I fade slowly into the background. No one will ever write epic poems about the deeds of Hestia. Most demigods don't even stop to talk to me. But that is no matter. I keep the peace. I yield when necessary. Can you do this? I don't know what you mean, she said to me. Perhaps not yet, but soon. Will you continue your quest? Is that why you're here? To warn me against going? Hestia shook her head. I am here because when all else fails, when all the other mighty gods have gone off to war, I am all that's left. Home. Hearth. I am the last Olympian. You must remember me when you face your final decision. I did not see that shit coming. I did not see that shit coming, and all of a sudden, I'm here for this. And all of a sudden, I was enjoying the book before, but all of a sudden, Rick threw some shit at me that changed the entire way of how I'm about to perceive this story. What are you talking about? You're the last Olympian. To yield is the most important. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What? Nah, bro. What? Yep, page 80, I remembered, but I just checked. Oh, wow. That's pretty precise. Thank you. I'm gonna look at that. We locked in now. No, like, actually. Like, I gotta read that again. I am here because when all else fails, when all the other mighty gods have gone off to war, I am all that's left. Home. Hearth. I am the last Olympian. That's so crazy. What? I want to understand now, but I know I'm not going to understand till I get here. Till I get here in the book. I'm not going to understand. I'm so upset. Okay. What the fuck? I didn't like the way she said final. I looked at Nico, then back at Hestia's warm, glowing eyes. I have to continue, my lady. I have to stop Luke. I mean Kronos. Hestia nodded. Very well. I cannot be much of assistance beyond what I have already told you, but since you sacrificed to me, I can return you to your own hearth. I will see you again, Percy, on Olympus. Her tone was ominous, as though our next meeting would not be happy. The goddess waved her hand, and everything faded. Suddenly I was home. Nico and I were sitting on the couch in my mom's apartment, on the Upper East Side. That was good news. The bad news was that the rest of the living room was occupied by Mrs. O'Leary. I heard a muffled yell from the bedroom. Paul's voice said, "Who put this wall fur in the doorway?" "Percy," my mom called out. "Are you here? Are you alright?" Out of everyone, Percy needed to hear that sometimes giving up control is the best choice. Maybe so. Oh, I'm so interested to see how this... What the... Ooh, I'm so interested. What? I'm so interested. That's a crazy theme to throw at me. "I'm here," I shouted. Woof. Miss O'Leary tried to turn in a circle to find my mom, knocking all the pictures off the walls. She'd known my mom once before. Long story, but she loves her. It took a few minutes, but we finally got things worked out. After destroying most of the furniture in the living room and probably making our neighbors really mad, we got my parents out of the bedroom and into the kitchen. When we sat around the kitchen table, Mrs. O'Leary still took up the entire living room, but she'd settled her head in the kitchen doorway so she could see us, which made her happy. My mom tossed her a 10-pound family-sized tube of ground beef, which disappeared down her gullet. Paul poured lemonade for the rest of us, while I explained about our visit to Connecticut. "So it's true," Paul stared at me like he'd never seen me before. He was wearing his white bathrobe, now covered in hellhound fur, and his salt and pepper hair was sticking up in every direction. All that talk about monsters and being a demigod, it's really true? No, Paul, I made it up. No, Paul, I made it the fuck up. I leave for no reason. I leave for no reason. I have a magic sword for no reason. My dad's named Poseidon for no reason. Your school blew up for no reason. We were joking, Paul. Bruh. I nodded. Last fall, I explained to Paul who I was. My mom had backed me up, but until this moment, I don't think he really believed us. Where did you think he was going? Where the fuck did you think Percy would go? Like, did you just think they were crazy? Like, sorry about Mrs. O'Leary, I said, destroying the living room and all. Paul laughed like he was delighted. Are you kidding? This is awesome. I mean, when I saw the hoof prints on the Prius, I thought maybe. But this? He patted Mrs. O'Leary's snout. The living room shook. Boom, boom, boom. Whatever that meant, a SWAT team was breaking down the door, or Miss O'Leary was wagging her tail. I couldn't help but smile. Paul was a pretty cool guy, even if he was my English teacher, as well as my stepdad. Thanks for not freaking out, I said. Oh, I'm freaking out. He probably promised, his eyes wide. I just think it's awesome. A regular reaction to someone having superpowers is this. That's what that is. You'll see, you'll see. I hope I do. Yeah, well, I said, you may not be so excited when you hear what's happening. I told Paul and my mom, "Hey, Paul, I'm about to go to war, so you better pray for me, because those prayers will actually work. I guarantee you they will." My dad is God. I can vouch for this. I told Paul and Mom about Typhon and the gods and the battle that was sure to come. Then I told them about Nico's plan. My mom's laced her fingers around her lemonade glass. She was wearing her old blue flannel bathrobe, and her hair was tied back. Recently, she started writing a novel, like she wanted to do for years, and I could tell she'd been working on it late into the night because the circles under her eyes were darker than usual. Prediction time. Percy's mom's novel is about Percy. I'm just sure that's what it's about. But we're not gonna find that out until the end of the book, probably. Behind her at the kitchen window, silvery moon lace glowed in the flower box. I'd brought the magical plant back from Calypso's island last summer, and it bloomed like crazy under my mother's care. The scent always calmed me down, but it also made me sad because it reminded me of lost friends. Oof. Ooh, what? My mom took a deep breath, like she was thinking how to tell me, no, Percy, it's dangerous, she said, even for you. But what is it though? Mom, I know, I could die. Nico explained that, but if we don't try, we'll all die, Nico said. He hadn't touched his lemonade. Miss Jackson, we don't stand a chance against an invasion. And there will be an invasion. An invasion in New York? Paul said. That even possible? How could we not see the monsters? He said the word like he still couldn't believe this was real. I don't know, I admitted. I don't see how Kronos could just march into Manhattan, but the mist is strong. Typhon is trampling across the country right now, and mortals think he's a storm system. Miss Jackson, Nico said. Percy needs your blessing. The process has to start that way. I wasn't sure until we met Luke's mom, but now I'm positive. This has only been done successfully twice before. Both times, the mother had to give her blessing. She had to be willing to let her son take the risk. What is happening? What is the plan? What is the plan? How to pull baddies into Jackson? My silly Jackson. I'd read that book. I'd read the hell out of that book. You want me to bless this? She took her head. It's crazy. Percy, please. Mom, I can't do it without you. And if you survive this process, then I go to war, I said. Me against Kronos. And only one of us will survive. But on the flip side, Sally, if you don't bless it, he's gonna go to war anyway. But without this power up, without whatever it is. I didn't tell her the whole prophecy, but the soul reaping and the end of my days. She didn't need to know that I was probably doomed. I could only hope I'd stop Kronos and save the rest of the world before I died. What the fuck? Who's texting me? Okay. You're my son, she said miserably. I can't just... I could tell I'd have to push her harder if I wanted to agree, but I didn't want to. I remembered poor Miss Castellan in her kitchen, waiting for her son to come home, and I realized how lucky I was. My mom had always been there for me. Always tried to make things normal for me, even with the gods and monsters and stuff. She put up with me going off on adventures, but now I was asking her blessing to do something that would probably get me killed. I locked eyes with Paul, and some kind of understanding passed between us. Sally, he put his hand over my mother's hands. I can't claim to know what you and Percy have been going through all these years, but it sounds like Percy is doing something noble. I wish I had that much courage. I got a lump in my throat. I didn't get compliments like that too much. That is a banger of a compliment, I'm not even gonna lie to you. Damn, Percy's fully convinced he's gonna die. Pretty dark. It's pretty freaking heroic, is what it is. Like, bro, that's Chadley. Like, I'm gonna die, but I don't care. You're still gonna catch this godly fate. I promise you that. My mom stared at her lemonade. She looked like she was trying not to cry. I thought about what Hestia had said, about how hard it was to yield, and I figured maybe my mom was finding that out. Percy, she said, I give you my blessing. I didn't feel any different, no magic glowing at the kitchen or anything. I glanced at Nico. He looked more anxious than ever, but he nodded. It's time. What are you doing, Nico? What is this? What is this? What's going on? Percy, my mom said. One last thing. If you survive this fight with Kronos, send me a sign. She rummaged through her purse and handed me her cell phone. Mom, I said, you know demigods and phones. I know, she said, but just in case you're not able to call, maybe a sign that I could see from anywhere in Manhattan to let me know you're okay. Okay, listen. Listen. I know what Rick is setting up right now. It's some shit at the end of the battle. Percy's gonna go, oh right, and then a giant ass, cool ass light or something like that is gonna be in the sky or something like that. And then at that moment, at that exact moment, when I read that shit, I promise you I will cry. I promise you I will. Mark my words, I'm gonna cry. I guarantee it. Like Theseus, Paul suggested, he was supposed to raise white sails when he came home to Athens. Except he forgot, Nico muttered, and his father jumped off the palace roof in despair. But other than that, it was a great idea. I love Nico. What about a flag or a flare, my mom said, from Olympus, the Empire State Building? Something blue, I said. We'd had a running joke for years about blue food. Blue food. It was my favorite color, and my mom went out of her way to humor me. Every year, my birthday cake, my Easter basket, my Christmas candy canes, it always had to be blue. Yes, my mom agreed. I'll watch for a blue signal, and I'll try to avoid jumping off palace roofs. She gave me one last hug. I tried not to feel like I was saying goodbye. I shook hands with Paul, then Nico. Then Nico and I walked to the kitchen doorway and looked at Mrs. O'Leary. Sorry, girl, I said. Shadow travel time again. She whimpered and crossed her paws over her snout. Where now? I asked Nico. Los Angeles? No need, he said. There's a closer entrance to the underworld. Why are we going to the underworld? But I'm happy because we're going to see Hades again. Let's go, baby. I've seen Hades. That is the end of that chapter. How many chapters have I read so far? This is the third one I've read? This is the third one I've read. So I read 4, 5, yeah, 6. Okay, this is the third one I've read. That was awesome, by the way. That is the best chapter so far. Oh yeah, Percy's that guy. There might be statues of him looking goofy on Olympus to honor him. Oh, 100%. Percy's definitely gonna... Oof. Dude, I guarantee you when that happens, I'm gonna cry. Like, I can see it now. Like, me knowing me, I teared up at the idea of it. I'm gonna cry. Like, straight up. This is not even a question. But that was a freaking crazy chapter, though. Just with everything with Luke's mom and Hestia being the last Olympian. Like that. Like, I did not think that was gonna mean that. Hi, I'm back for a few minutes. Welcome, Shaughnessy. You're always welcome anytime, obviously. It's not like I can stop you either. Like, nothing I can do. Like, I can't tell you you can't be here, but I'm happy you are here. Actually, I can, but I'm not gonna do that. But no, dude, the thing that threw me off the most is the Hestia thing, for sure. Hestia being like, I'm the last Olympian. I'm like, I thought it was gonna be like the last Olympian, like, I don't know, all the gods get killed or some shit, and like Percy has been named an Olympian and he's the last one, and he's standing there alive or something, like something like that. Like, I don't like, or like maybe Poseidon is the last one standing or something. I don't fucking know. Or like Kronos wins for a bit and he becomes an Olympian. He's the last Olympian. I don't know. But like, I did not think it was gonna be like, Hestia is the last Olympian. You must yield. Like, this is for sure now the most interesting title. I enjoy your videos. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I need to post more actual videos and stop doing live streams. But I've been doing live streams because they're easier and I'm lazy. But I need to post more actual videos. I need to just force myself to edit them, which I hate doing. But it's fine. We're working on it. We're getting through it. What was I saying? Something about Hestia and how, yeah, like this is by far the most interesting title of the book so far. The title being revealed early can throw you off too. What do you mean by that? The title being revealed early can throw you off because I don't know, like what it means. I don't know, because like the only other one that's like this is like the Titan's Curse, right? Like, and the Titan's Curse is also really interesting, but it's like it doesn't feel so like defeating. Like, calling this book The Last Olympian made it feel like almost generic, epic, and dangerous before, like The Last Jedi, you know what I mean? But like calling this book The Last Olympian and then finding out like some of the context of what it's supposed to mean, it feels so defeating. It's like you must yield sometimes. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I don't know what that means. I'm so excited. Like you're thinking about it early on instead of it being mentioned in the last two chapters. Yeah. I get what you mean. So I have been thinking about it because it's the most interesting one, right? Because they're saying the last Olympian, and that wouldn't make any sense to me. At first, it's like the god's supposed to be dead, but it's not referring to that. Which is like... But alright. To the freaking Deacon Underworld and shit we go. 2 more chapters left on this stream. 2 more chapters, and I'm excited. Like, after that one, I'm like, we are freaking going, baby. We are here. Welcome to the book. The book is now officially begun. My math teacher gives me a lift. Are we gonna get a Mrs. Dodds callback? I really hope so. My math teacher gives me a lift. We emerged in Central Park, just north of the pond. Mrs. O'Leary looked pretty tired as she limped over to a cluster of boulders. She started sniffing around, and I was afraid that she might mark her territory, but Nico said it's okay. She just smells the way home. I frowned. Through the rocks? The underworld has 2 major entrances, Nico said. You know the one in LA? Karen's Ferry. Nico nodded. Most souls go that way. There's a smaller path, harder to find, the door of Orpheus. The dude with the harp? Dude with the lyre, Nico corrected. But yeah. I love how they call them dudes. That's so funny. I love that. He used his music to charm the earth and open a path into the underworld. He sang his way right into Hades' palace and almost got away with his wife's soul. I remember the story. Orpheus wasn't supposed to look behind him when he was leading his wife back to the world, but of course he did. It's one of those typical, and so they died, the end stories that always made us demigods feel warm and fuzzy. So this is the door of Orpheus. I tried to be impressed, but it still looked like a pile of rocks to me. How does it open? We need music, Nico said. How's your singing? No. Can't you just, like, tell it to open? You're the son of Hades and all. It's not so easy. We need music. I was pretty sure if I tried to sing, all it would cause was an avalanche. I have a better idea. I turned and called, Grover! We waited for a long time. Mrs. O'Leary curled up and took a nap. I could hear the crickets in the woods and the owl hooting traffic hump. There's no way Grover's about to show up right now. There's no way Grover's about to show up right now. I gotta go again, but hopefully I can make it back in time for the last chapter of today. Hopefully you can. I hope you can. But see you, man. Hopefully I'll see you again. What is it? Where are we? Yeah. Traffic hummed along Central Park West. Horse hooves clopped down a nearby path. Maybe a mounted police patrol. I was sure they'd love to find 2 kids hanging out in the park at 1 in the morning. It's no good, Nico said at last. I had a feeling. My empathy link was really tingling. For the first time in months, which either meant a whole lot of people had suddenly switched on the nature channel, or Grover was close. I shut my eyes and concentrated. Grover. I knew he was somewhere in the park. I couldn't sense his emotions. All I got was a faint hum in the base of my skull. Grover, I thought more insistently. Something said. An image came into my head. I saw a giant elm tree, deep in the woods, well off the main paths, gnarled roots laced in the ground, making a kind of bed, lying in it with his arms crossed and his eyes closed was a satyr. At first I couldn't be sure it was Grover. He was covered in twigs and leaves, like he'd been sleeping there a long time. These roots seemed to be shaping themselves around him, slowly pulling him into the earth. Grover, I said. Wake up. Dude, you're covered in dirt. Wake up. Sleepy, his mind murmured. Food, I suggested. Pancakes! His eyes shot open. A blur of thoughts filled my head, like he was suddenly on fast forward. The image shattered and I almost fell over. What happened? Nico asked. I got through. He's on his way. A minute later, the tree next to us shivered. Grover fell out of his branches, right on his head. Grover! I yelled. Yeah, bro. We've gone 111 pages, and this is the first time we're seeing Grover in the book. Happy to see him again, though. Woof! Mrs. O'Leary looked up, probably wondering if we were going to play fetch with the satyr. Blah ha ha. Or it's blah, which is probably what goats sound like. Grover bleated. You okay, man? I'm fine, Grover said. His horns had grown so much they poked an inch above his curly hair. I was at the other end of the park. The Dryads had this great idea of passing me through the trees to get me here. They don't understand height very well. He grinned and got to his feet. Well, his hooves. Actually, since last summer, Grover had stopped trying to disguise himself as human. He never wore a cap or fake feet anymore. He didn't even wear jeans, since he had furry goat legs from the waist down. His t-shirt was a picture from that book, Where the Wild Things Are. It was covered with dirt and tree sap. His goatee looked fuller, almost manly, or goatly. And he was as tall as me now. Good to see you, G-Man, I said. You remember Nico? Grover nodded at Nico. Then he gave me a big hug. He smelled like fresh mown lawns. Percy, he bleated. I missed you. I missed camp. They don't serve very good enchiladas in the wilderness. I was worried, I said. Where have you been the last 2 months? The last two... Grover's smile faded. The last 2 months? What are you talking about? We haven't heard from you, I said. Juniper's worried. We sent iris messages, but hold on. He looked up at the stars like he was trying to calculate his position. What month is this? August. The color drained from his face. That's impossible. It's June. I just lay down to take a nap, and he grabbed my arms. I remember now. He knocked me out. Percy, we have to stop him. Whoa, I said. Slow down. Tell me what happened. He took a deep breath. I was walking in the woods up by Harlem Mere, and I felt this tremble in the ground, and something powerful was near. Bars. You can sense stuff like that? Nico asked. Grover nodded. Since Pan's death, I can feel when something is wrong in nature. It's like my ears and eyes are sharper when I'm in the wild. You a demigod son of Pan now? Anyway, I started following the scent. This man in a long black coat was walking through the park, and I noticed he didn't cast a shadow. Middle of a sunny day, and he cast no shadow. He kind of shimmered as he moved. Like a mirage? Nico asked. Yes, Grover said. Whenever he passed humans, the humans would pass out, Nico said. Curl up and go to sleep. Endless sleep! See the world in endless sleep? That's right. Then after he was gone, they'd get up and go about their business like nothing happened. I stared at Nico. You know this guy in black? Afraid so, Nico said. Grover, what happened? I followed the guy. He looked up at the buildings around the park like he was making estimates or something. This lady jogger ran by and she curled on the sidewalk and started snoring. The guy in black put his hand on her forehead like he was checking her temperature, and he kept walking. By this time, I knew he was a monster or something even worse. I followed him into this grove, to the base of a big elm tree. I was about to summon some dryads to help me capture him, when he turned and Grover swallowed Percy, his face. I just couldn't make out his face because it kept shifting. Just looking at him made me sleepy. I said, what are you doing? He said, just having a look around. You should always scout a battlefield before the battle. Endless sleep. I said something really smart like, this forest is under my protection. You won't start any battles here. And he laughed. He said, you're lucky I'm saving my energy for the main event, little satyr. I'll just grant you a short nap. Pleasant dreams. And that's the last thing I remember. Nico exhaled. Grover, he meant Morpheus, the god of dreams. You're lucky you ever woke up. 2 months, Grover moaned. He put me to sleep for 2 months. I tried to wrap my mind around what this meant. Now it made sense why we hadn't been able to contact Grover all this time. Why didn't the nymphs try to wake you? I asked. Grover shrugged. Most nymphs aren't good with time. 2 months for a tree? That's nothing. They probably didn't think anything was wrong. We've got to figure out what Morpheus was doing in the park, I said. I don't like this main event thing, he mentioned. He's working for Kronos, Nico said. We know that already. A lot of minor gods are. This just proves there's going to be an invasion. Percy, we have to go on with our plan. Wait, Grover said. What plan? We told him, and Grover started tugging at his leg. You're not serious, he said. Not the underworld again. I'm not asking you to come, man. I promised. I promised. I know you just woke up, but we need some music to open the door. Can you do it? Grover took out his reed pipes. I guess I could try. I know a few Nirvana tunes that can split rocks. Percy, are you sure you want to do this? Please, man, I said. It would mean a lot. For old time's sake. He whimpered. As I recall, in the old times, we almost died a lot. But okay, here goes nothing. Old time's sake, you mean 1 year ago? He put his pipes to his lips and played a shrill, lively tune. The boulders trembled. A few more stanzas and they cracked open, revealing a triangular crevice. I peered inside. Steps led down into the darkness. The air smelled of mildew and death. It brought back bad memories of my trip to the labyrinth last year, but this tunnel felt even more dangerous. It led straight to the land of Hades, and that was almost always a one-way trip. I turned to Grover. Thanks, I think. Percy, this is your third time going to the underworld. Don't even trip, dog. Don't even trip. Percy, is Kronos really going to invade? I wish I could tell you better, but yeah, he will. I thought Grover might chew up his reed pipes in anxiety, but he straightened up, brushed off his t-shirt. I couldn't help thinking how different he looked from fat old Lenius. I've got to rally the nature spirits then. Maybe we can help. I'll see if we can find this Morpheus. Better tell Juniper you're okay too. His eyes widened. Juniper! Oh, she's going to kill me. What have you been doing for the past 2 months, Grover? Sleeping. He started to run off, then scrambled back and gave me another hug. Be careful down there. Come back alive. Once he was gone, Nico and I roused Mrs. O'Leary from her nap. I love that Nico is coming front and center in this book. Like, he's been slowly bled into the series, and now he's like Percy's tag-along friend this time. I love that. When she smelled the tunnel, she got excited and led the way down the steps. It was a pretty tight fit. I hope she wouldn't get stuck. I couldn't imagine how much Drano we need to unstick. We need to unstick a hell dog wedged halfway down a tunnel to the underworld. Ready? Nico asked me. It'll be fine, don't worry. He sounded like he was trying to convince himself. I glanced up at the stars, wondering if I would ever see them again. Then we plunged into darkness. The stairs went on forever. Narrow, steep, and slippery. It was completely dark, except for the light of my sword. I tried to go slow, but Miss O'Leary had other plans. She bounded ahead, barking happily. Sound echoed through the tunnel, like cannon shots. And I figured we would not be catching anybody by surprise once we reached the bottom. Nico lagged behind me, which I thought was strange. You okay? I asked. Fine. What was that expression on his face? Doubt? Just keep moving, he said. I didn't have much choice. I followed Mrs. O'Leary into the depths. After another hour, I started to hear the roar of the river. We emerged at the base of a cliff on a plain of black volcanic sand. To our right, the river Styx gushed from the rocks and roared off in a cascade of rapids. To our left, far away in the gloom, fires burned on the ramparts of Erebos, the great black walls of Hades' kingdom. Wait, let me read that again. Into the underworld we go, indeed, once more. We emerge at the base of a cliff on a plain of black volcanic sand. To our right, the river Styx gushed from the rocks and roared off in a cascade of rapids. To our left, far away in the gloom, fires burned the ramparts of Erebos, the great black walls of Hades' kingdom. I shuddered. I'd first been here when I was 12. It's a crazy thing. I went to hell when I was 12, and then I came back when I was 14, and now I'm here again. Or when he's 15. He came back at some fucking point. Stretch. Okay. Sorry, I'm not tired. I have no idea why I just yawned. Brain, do the thing where you start working again. I shuddered. I'd first been here when I was 12, and only Annabeth and Grover's company had given me the courage to keep going. Nico wasn't going to be quite as helpful with the courage thing. He looked pale and worried himself. Only Mrs. Leary acted happy. She ran along the beach, picked up a random human leg bone and romped back toward me. She dropped the bone at my feet and waited for me to throw it. Maybe later, girl. I stared at the dark waters, trying to get up my nerve. So, Nico, how do we do this? We have to get inside the gates first, he said. But the river's right here. I have to get something, he said. It's the only way. He marched off without waiting. I frowned. Nico hadn't mentioned anything about going inside the gates. But now that we were here, I didn't know what else to do. Reluctantly, I followed him down the beach, toward the black gates. Lines of the dead stood outside waiting to get in. It must have been a heavy day for funerals, because even the easy death line was backed up. Woof, Miss O'Leary said, before I could stop her. She bounded toward the security checkpoint. Cerberus, the guard dog of Hades, appeared out of the gloom, a three-headed Rottweiler, so big he made Mrs. O'Leary look like a toy poodle. Cerberus was half transparent, so he's really hard to see until he's close enough to kill you. But he acted like he didn't care about us. He was too busy saying hello to Mrs. O'Leary. Mrs. O'Leary, no! I shouted at her. Don't sniff! Oh, man. Nico smiled. Then he looked at me, and his expression turned all serious again, like he'd remembered something unpleasant. Come on. They won't give us any trouble in the line. You're with me. I didn't like it, but we slipped through the security goals and into the fields of asphodel. I had to whistle for Mrs. O'Leary 3 times before she left Cerberus alone and ran after us. We hiked over black fields of grass dotted with black poplar trees. If I really died in a few days, like the prophecy said, I might end up here forever. But I tried not to think about that. Nico trudged ahead, bringing us closer and closer to the Palace of Hades. Hey, I said, we're inside the gates already. Where are we? Miss O'Leary growled. A shadow appeared overhead, something dark, cold, and stinking of death. It swooped down and landed in the top of a poplar tree. Unfortunately, I recognized her. She had a shriveled face, a horrible blue knit hat, and a crumpled velvet dress. Leathery bat wings sprang from her back, her feet and sharp talons, and in her brass-clawed hands she held a flaming whip and a paisley handbag. Mrs. Dodds, I said. She raised her fangs. Welcome back, honey. Let's go. Return of Mrs. Dodds. You'll have to see it. Her 2 sisters, the other Furies, swooped down and settled next to her in the branches of the poplar. You know Electo, Nico asked. If you mean the hag in the middle, yeah, I said. She was my math teacher. Nico nodded, like this didn't surprise him. He looked up at the Furies and took a deep breath. I've done what my father asked. Take us to the palace. I tensed. Wait a second. Nico, what's happening? Nico, you tell me you didn't betray us, bro. I'm afraid this is my new lead. Percy, my father promised me information about my family, but he wants to see you before we try the river. I'm sorry. You tricked me? What? Come on, Nico. He probably would have gone if you just asked him. What does Hades want with Percy anyway? I was so mad I couldn't think. I lunged at him, but the Furies were fast. Two of them swooped down and plucked me up by the arms. My sword fell out of my hand. Before I knew it, I was dangling 60 feet in the air. Oh, don't struggle, honey, my old math teacher crackled in my ear. I'd hate to drop you. Mrs. O'Leary barked angrily and jumped, trying to reach me, but we were too high. Tell Mrs. O'Leary to behave, Nico warned. He was hovering near me in the clutches of the third Fury. I don't want to get hurt, Percy. My father's waiting. He just wants to talk. I don't want to get hurt, Percy. Oh, okay. I wanted to tell Mrs. O'Leary to attack Nico, but it wouldn't have done any good. And Nico was right about one thing. My dog could get hurt if she tried to pick a fight with the Furies. I gritted my teeth. Mrs. O'Leary, down. It's okay, girl. She whimpered and turned in circles, looking up at me. All right, traitor, I growled at Nico. You've got your prize. Take me to the stupid palace. Electo dropped me like a sack of turnips in the middle of the palace garden. It was beautiful in a creepy way. Skeletal white trees grew from the marble basins. Flower beds overflowed with golden plants and gemstones. A pair of thrones, one bone and one silver, set on the balcony with a view of the fields of asphodel. It would have been a nice place to spend a Saturday morning, except for the sulphurous smell and the cries of tortured souls in the distance. Fuck. Skeletal warriors guarded the only exit. They wore tattered U.S. Army desert combat fatigues and carried M16s. The third Fury deposited Nico next to me. Then all three of them settled on the top of the skeleton throne. I resisted the urge to strangle Nico. They'd only stop me. I'd had to wait for my revenge. I stared at the empty thrones, waiting for something to happen. Then the air shimmered. 3 figures appeared. Hades and Persephone on their thrones, and an older woman standing between them. They seemed to be in the middle of an argument. Told you he was a bum, the older woman said. Mother, Persephone replied. We have visitors. Oh, it's Persephone's mom. Hades. We have visitors. Hades barked. Please. Oh shit, okay. Hades, one of my least favorite gods. Smooth. Why do you hate Hades, bro? He's been pretty nice to you. I mean, not as nice as Apollo or Artemis or like Poseidon. Who else has he met? Ares and Aphrodite and Hera are all bitches. Hermes was chill. Hephaestus was chill. Nah, never mind, I get it. Smooth as black robes, which were covered with the terrified faces of the damned. He had pale skin and the intense eyes of a madman. Percy Jackson, he said with satisfaction. At last. Queen Persephone studied me curiously. I had seen her once before in the winter, but now in the summer, she looked like a totally different goddess. She had lustrous black hair and warm brown eyes. Her dress shimmered with colors. Flower patterns on the fabric changed and bloomed roses, tulips, honeysuckle. The woman standing between them was obviously Persephone's mother. She had the same hair and eyes, but looked older and sterner. Her dress was golden, the color of a wheat field. Her hair was woven in dried grasses, so it reminded me of a wicker basket. I figured if somebody lit a match next to her, she'd be in serious trouble. That's funny. The old woman said, demigods, just what we need. Next to me, Nico knelt. I wish I had my sword so I could cut his stupid head off. Unfortunately, Riptide was still out in the field somewhere. Father, Nico said, I have done as you asked. Took you long enough, Hades grumbled. Your sister would have done a better job. Bitch, my sister's dead as fuck. Nico lowered his head. If I hadn't been so mad at the little creep, I might have felt sorry for him. I glared up at the god of the dead. What do you want, Hades? To talk, of course. The god twisted his mouth in a cruel smile. Did Nico tell you? So this whole quest was a lie? Nico brought me down here to get me killed? Oh no, Hades said. I'm afraid Nico was quite sincere about wanting to help you. The boy is as honest as he is dense. I simply convinced him to take a small detour and bring you here first. Yeah, I believe that bit. Father, Nico said, you promised that Percy would not be harmed. You said that if I brought him, you would tell me about my past, about my mother. Queen Persephone sighed dramatically. Can we please not talk about that woman in my presence? I'm sorry, my dove. Shut up, Hades, Hades said. I had to promise the boy something. Why does Hades want to talk to Percy so bad? The older lady harumphed. I warned you, daughter. This scoundrel Hades is no good. You could have married the god of doctors or the god of lawyers, but no. That's so good. You had to eat the pomegranate. That's fucking funny. Mother, and get stuck in the underworld. Mother, please. And here it is, August. And do you come home like you're supposed to? Do you ever think about your poor, lonely mother? Demeter! Hades shouted. That is enough! You are a guest in my house! Did not know Demeter was Persephone's mom. But I was just talking about meeting Demeter, so I'm happy that we're finally seeing her and having a conversation. Didn't know Demeter was such a bitch. Not Demeter's cool. This is just funny. Like, Because I'm pretty sure Hades is Demeter's uncle. Like, I'm pretty sure Demeter is also a kid of Zeus. So it's so funny that she's talking to him like this. What is it? What was I thinking? Oh yeah, I don't know. Also, I really love the humor in this book. It's like, it's just making the gods silly, and it's just funny to me. Oh, a house is it? She said. You call this dump a house? Make my daughter go in this dark, damp. I told you. Hades said, grinding his teeth. There's a war in the world above. You and Persephone are better off here with me. Why are y'all not fighting Typhon? You gonna give me a good reason for that? Excuse me, I broke in, but if you're going to kill me, could you just get on with it? All three gods looked at me. Well, this one has odd attitude, Demeter observed. You've met him before. Well, you've seen him before. You haven't really met him. Indeed, Hades agreed. I'd love to kill him. But why are you mean? Father, Nico said, you promised. Husband, we talked about this. Persephone chided. You can't go around incinerating every hero. Besides, he's brave. I like that. Hades rolled his eyes. You like that Orpheus fellow, too. Look how well that turned out. Let me kill him. Just a little bit. What the fuck do you mean, just a little bit? What are you talking about? Why do you want to kill Percy so bad? I thought you didn't fucking care. Also, he's like, about your whole prophecy and shit. Come on now. I wonder what happened if Hades did kill him. Because a half-blood of the eldest gods shall reach 16 against all odds. It's not if a half-blood reaches 16, it's that they will reach 16. So, Percy, that at the very least must happen. So what, does the prophecy then fall to Nico? And then what happens to Kronos and everything like that? Does Kronos' army get get paused for 4 years while Nico has to grow up? Like what? Like does Kronos take over and Nico is in like a post-gods world and he has to save them afterwards? Like and create a god revolution. That'd be so sick. That'd be so hard. If Percy died here because Hades killed him, and then Nico, that fucked the whole prophecy, and then Nico becomes the one who wait till he's 16, and then that'd be so dope. Like it's like a dystopia, a Greek novel. That'd be so cool. Father, you promised, Nico said. You said you'd only want to talk to him. You said if I brought him, you'd explain. Yeah, why do you want to talk to him? I'm still curious. Hades glowered, smoothing the fold of his robes. And so I shall. Your mother, what can I tell you? She was a wonderful woman. He glanced uncomfortably at Persephone. Forgive me, my dear. I mean for a mortal. Of course. Her name was Maria d'Angelo. She was from Venice, but her father was a diplomat in Washington, D.C. That's where I met her. When you and your sister were young, it was a bad time to be children of Hades. World War II was brewing. And a few of my, other children. Do you mean Hitler? Is Hitler a son of yours? We're leading the wrong side. We're leading the losing side. Interesting. I thought it best to put you two out of the harm's way. That's why you hit us in the Lotus Casino. Hades shrugged. You didn't age. You didn't realize time was passing. I waited for the right time to bring you out. What happened to our mother? Why don't I remember her? Not important. Hades snapped. What? Of course it's important. And you had other children. Why were we the only ones who were sent away? And who was that lawyer who got us out? Hades grit his teeth. You would do well to listen more and talk less, boy. As for the lawyer, Hades snapped his fingers on top of his throne. The Fury Electa began to change until she was a middle-aged man in a pinstriped suit with a briefcase. He looked strange, crouching at Hades' shoulder. You, Nico said. The Fury cackled. I do lawyers and teachers very well. Nico was trembling. But why did you free us from the casino? You know why, Hades said. This idiot son of Poseidon cannot be allowed to be the child of the prophecy. Well, then you probably should have freed him 4 years earlier, bud. You wanted your kid to be the kid of prophecy. That's interesting. So yeah, he only freed them after he met Percy. That's really interesting. Hades is planning ahead. Your head was going the right. It was going the right direction. Was it? What did I say something about that? I don't remember. You guys seem to remember shit that I said better than me remembering it. So I don't know what I said about that. I plucked a ruby off the nearest plant and threw it at Hades. It sank harmlessly into his robe. You should be helping Olympus, I said. All the other gods are fighting Typhon, and you're just sitting here. Waiting things out, Hades finished. Yes, that's correct. When's the last time Olympus ever helped me, Half-Blood? When's the last time a child of mine was ever welcomed as a hero? Bah! Why should I rush out and help them? I'll stay here with my forces intact. And when Kronos comes after you, let him try. He'll be weakened. And my son here, Nico, Hades looked at him with distaste. Well, he's not much now, I'll grant you. It would have been better if Bianca had lived. Bro! But give him 4 more years of training. He can hold out that long, surely. Nico will turn 16 if the prophecy says, and then he will make the decision that will save the world, and I will be king of the gods. Calm down. Calm down, bro. I wonder how they're gonna do Hades making him this evil in the live action. Because in the live action he's super nice. So like I wonder how they're gonna do that. Dang, so in the books we only see Hades in the first and the last one. That's crazy. What is it? Okay, where was I? You're crazy, I said. Kronos will crush you right after he finishes pulverizing Olympus. Hades spread his hands. Well, you'll get a chance to find out, Half-Blood, because you'll be waiting out this war in my dungeons. No, Nico said. Father, that wasn't our agreement. You haven't told me everything. I've told you all you need to know, Hades said. As for our agreement, I spoke with Jackson. I did not harm him. You got your information. If you had wanted a better deal, you should have made me swear on the river Styx. When are we gonna learn? When are we gonna learn? Now go to your room. He waved his hands and Nico vanished. That boy needs to eat more, Demeter grumbled. He's too skinny. He needs more cereal. Persephone rolled her eyes. Mother, enough with the cereal. My lord Hades, are you sure we can't let this little hero go? He's awfully brave. Let him go. The fuck? No, my dear. I spared his life. That's enough. I was sure she was going to stand up for me. The brave, beautiful Persephone was going to get me out of this. She shrugged indifferently. Fine. What's for breakfast? I'm starving. Cereal, Demeter said. What is with Demeter and the cereal? Mother! The two women disappeared in a swirl of flowers and wheat. Don't feel too bad, Percy Jackson, Hades said. My ghosts keep me well informed of Kronos' plan. I can assure you that you had no chance to stop him in time. By tonight, it will be too late for your precious Mount Olympus. The trap will be sprung. What trap? I demanded. If you know about it, do something. At least let me tell the other gods. Hades smiled. You are spirited. I'll give you credit for that. Have fun in my dungeon. We'll check on you again in 50 or 60 years.
Hades, my boy. Why are you being a bitch? Why are you being a bitch? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this, Hades? It's like you really want Nico to be the child of prophecy so bad, and you don't even like him. You don't even like him. He's stupid to think he can wait out Kronos. He really is. That's so arrogant. Like, what? You're gonna wait out Kronos for 4 years, bro? Without any gods? Kronos hasn't come for you because he doesn't need to. You realize that, right? Kronos would not attack the underworld because that's a waste of his plan. If you're being this stupid, bruh. Kronos is not. You're not gonna last 4 years against Kronos' army, so Nico can turn 16. That's just not gonna happen. Come on, bro. What are we doing here, Hades? Dude, this is so stupid. But that was an interesting chapter, though. I did not expect all that to go down. I did not expect Grover to be back in this chapter. I didn't expect that at all. But I like seeing Grover again. I wonder when we'll see him again. I really hope he does something cool in this upcoming fight, because we're seeing less Grover. We're seeing less Annabeth too, obviously, but still. Hades, you're pissing me off. You're fucking up our shit. You're fucking up our shit, Hades. This is not cool. Now they gotta escape the underworld prison. Okay. Alright. Alright. Let's get it poppin'. This will be our last chapter for today. It'll be 5. These chapters went by pretty surprisingly fast. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, these chapters are going by fast. But I'm enjoying the shit out of this. This is really freaking, like, interesting. All the people who are, like, on... Not even the people who want to win, but how they want to win, and how, like the pride of Olympians, and, like, is like, getting in the way of this war. It's really cool. And Percy is just trying to be a hero. And Hestia gave him some crazy-ass advice and shit. So this is cool. I'm really liking this. I can't wait till I get to the second half of the book, because I know it's about to pop the fuck off. Alright. Let's get into the last chapter for today. I take the worst bath ever. Also, I can tell, because there are only... I'm pretty sure there are only 20 chapters in this book. I didn't look because I didn't want to know any of the titles of chapters. But I'm pretty sure there are only 20 chapters in this book. So these the second 10 chapters are going to be super freaking long. Because, like, you can just tell. Like, if I'm not near the middle of the book yet, and we're at chapter 8. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I could probably get there before. But still. Okay, anyways. I take the worst bath ever. My sword reappeared in my pocket. Yeah, great timing. Now I could attack the walls all I wanted. My cell had no bars, no windows, not even a door. How did you get the fuck did you get in there? The skeleton guard shoved me straight through a wall, and it became solid behind me. I wasn't sure if the room was airtight. Probably. Hades' dungeon was meant for dead people, and they don't breathe. So if we get 50 or 60 years, I'd be dead in 50 or 60 minutes. Meanwhile, if Hades wasn't lying, some big trap was going to be sprung in New York by the end of the day, and there was absolutely nothing I could do about it. Okay, Poseidon is gonna find out, Hades, but I guess you're assuming he's gonna be dead by then. I sat on the cold stone floor, feeling miserable. I don't remember dozing off. Then again, it must have been about 7 in the morning, mortal time, and I'd been through a lot. I dreamed I was on the porch of Rachel's beach house in St. Thomas. The sun was rising over the Caribbean. Dozens of wooden islands dotted the sea, and white sails cut across the water. The smell of salt air made me wonder if I would ever see the ocean again. Rachel's parents sat at the patio table, while a personal chef fixed them omelets. You love to see it. A personal chef and omelets, that's a goated combination. Mr. Dare was dressed in a white linen suit. He was reading the Wall Street Journal. The lady across the table was probably Mrs. Dare, though all I could see of her were hot pink fingernails and the cover of Condé Nast Traveler. Why she'd be reading about vacations while she was on vacation, I wasn't sure. Rachel stood on the porch, railing and sighing. She wore Bermuda shorts and her Van Gogh t-shirt. Yeah, Rachel was trying to teach me about art, but don't get too impressed. I only remember this dude's name because he cut off his ear. That's why we all remember him. I wondered if she was thinking about me, and how much it sucked that I wasn't with them on vacation. I know, that's what I was thinking about. Then the scene changed.
I was in St. Louis, standing down under the arch. Really? I'd been there before. In fact, I'd almost fallen to my death there before. This is true. Over the city, a thunderstorm boiled. A wall of absolute black with lightning streaking across the sky. A few blocks away, swarms of emergency vehicles gathered, with their lights flashing. A column of dust rose from a mound of rubble, which I realized was a collapsed skyscraper. A nearby reporter was yelling into her microphone. Officials are describing this as a structural failure. Dan, though no one seems to know if it is related to the storm conditions. Wind whipped her hair. The temperature was dropping rapidly, like 10 degrees, just since I'd been standing there. Thankfully, the building had been abandoned for demolition, she said. The police have evacuated all nearby buildings for fear that the collapse might trigger. She faltered as a mighty groan cut through the sky. A blast of lightning hit the center of the darkness. The entire city shook. The air glowed, and every hair on my body stood up. The blast was so powerful, I knew it could only be one thing: Zeus's master bolt. It should have vaporized its target, but the dark cloud only staggered backwards. A smoky fist appeared out of the clouds. It smashed another tower, and the whole thing collapsed like children's blocks. The reporter screamed. People ran through the streets. Emergency lights flashed. I saw a streak of silver in the sky. A chariot pulled by a reindeer, but it wasn't Santa Claus. It was Artemis, let's go! Riding the storm, shooting shafts of moonlight into the darkness. A fiery golden comet crossed her path. Maybe her brother Apollo? One thing was clear. Typhon had made it to the Mississippi River. He was across the U.S., leaving destruction in his wake, and the gods were barely slowing him down. The mountain of darkness loomed above me. A foot the size of Yankee Stadium was about to smash me when a voice hissed, "Percy!" I lunged out blindly. Before I fully woke up, I had Nico pinned to the floor of the cell with the edge of my sword at his throat. "Want to rescue?" he choked. Anger woke me up fast. "Oh yeah? And why should I trust you?" "No choice," he gagged. I wish he hadn't said something logical like that. I let him go. Nico curled into a ball and made retching sounds while his throat recovered. Finally, he got to his feet. Eyeing my sword warily, his own blade was sheathed. I suppose, if you wanted to kill me, you could have done it while I slept. Still, I didn't trust him. "We have to get out of here," he said. "Why?" I said. "Does your dad want to talk to me again?" He winced. "Percy, I swore on the river Styx. I didn't know what he was planning. You know what your dad is like. He tricked me. He promised." Nico held up his hands. "Look, right now we have to leave. I put the guards to sleep, but it won't last. I wanted to strangle him again. Unfortunately, he was right. We didn't have time to argue. I couldn't escape on my own." He pointed at the wall. A whole section vanished, revealing a corridor. "Come on," Nico led the way. I wished I had an Annabeth invisibility hat, but as it turned out, I didn't need it. Every time we came to a skeleton guard, Nico just pointed at it, and its glowing eyes dimmed. Unfortunately, the more Nico did it, the more tired he seemed. We walked through a maze of corridors filled with guards. By the time we reached a kitchen staffed by skeleton cooks and servants, I was practically carrying Nico. He managed to put all the dead to sleep, but nearly passed out himself. I dragged him out of the servants' entrance and into the fields of asphodel. I almost felt relieved until I heard the sound of bronze gongs high in the castle alarms. Nico murmured sleepily, "What do we do?" No, alarms, Nico murmured sleepily. "What do we do?" He yawned, then frowned like he was trying to remember. "How about run?" Dang. Yeah, actually, Hades, what the fuck do you think was gonna happen? Your son can shadow walk. He's also your son, and he can just do shit. Like, you can't keep him there. So, of course, he's gonna fuck with your shit and get Percy out. You know what I mean? Like... And also, the gods are losing, like, bad. Like... I wish I could see the fight. Like, I can't wait to see the fight in live action. It's gonna be so cool. But Typhon is... beating their shit. Like, the gods are, like, triple teaming him. Hades needs to get down there so they can combine their might again. And it's like, and Poseidon's fending the ocean, they're split, you know? They're not at a united front. Only certain gods. Like, Demeter's not even there, you know what I mean? So, like, Dionysus is probably throwing hands as well. Like, what? Oof. Running with a drowsy child of Hades was more like doing a three-legged race with a life-sized rag doll. I lugged him along, holding my sword in front of me. The spirits of the dead made way like celestial bronze was a blazing fire. The sounds of gongs rolled across the fields. Ahead loomed the walls of Erebos, but the longer we walked, the farther away they seemed. I was about to collapse from exhaustion when I heard a familiar woof. Mr. Leary bounded out of nowhere and ran circles around us, ready to play. Good girl, I said. Can you give us a ride to the sticks? The word sticks got her excited. She probably thought I meant sticks. She jumped a few times. Chased her tail just to teach it who was boss, and then calmed down enough for me to push Nico onto her back. I climbed aboard, and she raced toward the gates. She leaped straight over the easy death line, sending guards sprawling and causing more alarms to blare. Cerberus barked, but he sounded more excited than angry. Like, can I play too? I imagine it looks like the gods throwing hands with a massive, slightly human-looking storm. Yeah, that's what I'm picturing. I'm just picturing the gods just flying around and zapping a cloud with shit. Fortunately, he didn't follow us, and Mrs. O'Leary kept running. She didn't stop until we were far upriver, and the fire of Erebos had disappeared in the murk. Nico slid off Mrs. O'Leary's back and crumbled in a heap on the black sand. I took out a square of ambrosia, part of the emergency food I always kept with me. It was a little bashed, but Nico chewed it. He mumbled, "Better. Your powers drain you too much," I noted. He nodded sleepily. With great power comes great need to take a nap. Wake me up later! Whoa, zombie dude. I caught him before he could pass out again. We're at the river. You need to tell me what to do. I fed him the last of my ambrosia, which is a little dangerous. The stuff can heal demigods, but it can also burn us to ashes if we eat too much. Fortunately, it seemed to do the trick. Nico shook his head a few times and struggled to his feet. My father will be coming soon, he said. We should hurry. The river Styx currently swirled with strange objects. Broken toys, ripped up college diplomas, wilted homecoming corsages, all the dreams people had thrown away as they passed from life into death. Looking at the black water, I could think of about 3 million places I'd rather swim. So I just jump in. You have to prepare yourself first, Nico said, or the river will destroy your body. It will burn away your body and your soul. Sounds fun, I muttered. This is no joke, Nico warned. There is only one way to stay anchored to your mortal life. You have to... He glanced behind me and his eyes widened. I turned around and found myself face to face with the Greek warrior. For a second I thought he was Ares, because this guy looked exactly like the god of war, tall and buff, with a white tunic and bronze armor. He held a plumed war helm under his arm, but his eyes were human, pale green like a shallow sea, and a bloody arrow struck out of his left calf, just above the ankle. I stunk at Greek names, but even I knew the greatest warrior of all time, who had died from a wounded heel. Achilles! What? Man, I'm not gonna lie, I fell asleep for a minute there. Hades tried to imprison Percy. yeah, that's what happened. That's that's fucking funny. Okay. Achilles is here? That's crazy. The ghost nodded. I warned the other one not to follow my path. Now I will warn you. Luke, you spoke with... Oh! That's what we're doing. We're dipping Percy in the river. So he could, that's the story of Achilles, right? He's dipped in and then he became immortal. Oh wow. Okay. All right. I didn't know that we were doing that, but now it's coming clear to me. I warned the other one not to follow my path. Now I will warn you. Luke, he spoke with Luke. Do not do this, he said. It will make you powerful, but it will also make you weak. Your prowess in combat will be beyond any mortals, but your weakness, your failings will increase as well. You don't have a bad heel? I said. Couldn't I just, like, wear something besides sandals? Percy throwing shade. No offense. He stared down at his bloody foot. Dang, his foot is still bloody. No wonder Percy couldn't fight Luke. Luke was using cheat codes. I know, bro. He was cheating. That's crazy. Achilles, the greatest warrior of all time. The heel is only my physical weakness, demigod. My mother, Thetis, held me there when she dipped me in the Styx. What really killed me was my own arrogance. Beware, turn back. He meant it. I could hear the regret and bitterness in his voice. He was only trying to save me from a terrible fate. Then again, Luke had been there, and he hadn't turned back. That's why Luke had been able to host the spirit of Kronos without his body disintegrating. This is how he prepared himself, and why he seemed impossible to kill. He had bathed in the river Styx and taken on the powers of the greatest mortal hero, Achilles. He was invincible. I have to, I said. Otherwise, I don't stand a chance. Achilles lowered his head. Let the gods witness. I tried. Hero, if you must do this, concentrate on your mortal point. Imagine one spot of your body that will remain vulnerable. That is the point where your soul will anchor your body to the world. It will be your greatest weakness, but also your only hope. No man may be completely invulnerable. Lose sight of what keeps you mortal, and the river Styx will burn you to ashes. You will cease to exist. Interesting. I don't suppose you could tell me Luke's mortal point. His eyes, maybe? He scowled. Prepare yourself, foolish boy. Whether you survive this or not, you have sealed your doom. With that happy thought, he vanished. Percy, Nico said. Maybe he's right. This was your idea, I know. But now that we're here, just wait on the shore. If anything happens to me, well, maybe Hades will get his wish, and you'll be the child of prophecy after all. He didn't look pleased about that, but I didn't care. Before I could change my mind, I concentrated on the small of my back, a tiny point just opposite my navel. It was well defended when I wore armor. It would be hard to hit by accident, and few enemies would aim for it on purpose. No place was perfect, but it seemed right to me, and a lot more dignified than like my armpit or something. I pictured a string, a bungee cord connecting me to the world from the small of my back, and I stepped into the river. There's no way. Is Percy about to become invulnerable right now? Imagine jumping into a pit of boiling acid. Now multiply the pain times 50. You still won't be close to understanding what it felt like to swim in the Styx. I planned to walk in slow and courageous like a hero. As soon as the water touched my legs, my muscles turned to jelly, and I fell face first into the current. I submerged completely. For the first time in my life, I couldn't breathe underwater. I finally understood the panic of drowning. Every nerve in my body burned. I was dissolving in the water. I saw faces: Rachel, Grover, Tyson, my mother. But they faded as soon as they appeared. Percy, my mom said, I give you my blessing. Be safe, brother, Tyson pleaded. Enchiladas, Grover said. I wasn't sure where that came from, but it didn't seem to help much. Bro turned invincibility on. It makes sense why Luke's mortal body can host Kronos. Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And survive falling off the mountains in Titan's curse. Well, are we perfectly clear that that's when he did it? Like, we don't know exactly when he did it, right? I mean, that could have been when. That could have been why. I just assumed Luke was just alive just because, and he did it in between them. But who knows? I was losing the fight. Pain was too much. My hands and feet were melting into the water. My soul was being ripped from my body. I couldn't remember who I was. The pain of Kronos' sight had been nothing compared to this. The cord, a familiar voice said. Remember your lifeline, dummy. Suddenly there was a tug in my lower back. The current pulled at me, but it wasn't carrying me away anymore. I imagined the string in my back keeping me tied to the shore. Hold on, seaweed brain. It was Annabeth's voice, much clearer now. You're not getting away from me that easily. Come on. That's crazy. The cord strengthened. I could see Annabeth now, standing barefoot above me. On the Canoe Lake Pier, I'd fallen out of my canoe. That was it. She was reaching out her hand to haul me up, and she was trying not to laugh. She wore her orange camp t-shirt and jeans. Her hair was tucked up in her Yankees cap, which was strange because that should have made her invisible. You are such an idiot sometimes. She smiled. Come on, take my hand. Memories came flooding back to me, sharper and more colorful. I stopped dissolving. My name was Percy Jackson. Oh! My name was Percy Jackson, and I reached up and took Annabeth's hand. Suddenly, I burst out of the river. I collapsed on the sand, and Nico scrambled back in surprise. Are you okay? He stammered. Your skin. Oh gods, you're hurt. My arms were bright red. I felt like every inch of my body had been boiled over a slow flame. I looked around for Annabeth, though I knew she wasn't here. It had seemed so real. I was just about to say, why doesn't Nico just do this? Why doesn't Nico just do it? Why doesn't he become invisible too? But he needs his mother's blessing to do it. He needs his mother's blessing to become invincible. So, that's a thing. That sucks. I'm fine, I think. The color of my skin turned back to normal. The pain subsided. Mrs. O'Leary came up and sniffed me with concern. Apparently, I smelled really interesting. Do you feel stronger? Nico asked. Before I could decide what I felt like, a voice boomed. There! An army of the dead marched toward us. 100 skeletal Warman legionaries led the way with shields and spears. Behind them came an equal number of British redcoats with bayonets fixed in the middle of the host. In the middle of the host, Hades himself rode a black and gold chariot pulled by nightmare horses, their eyes and manes smoldered with fire. You will not escape me this time, Percy Jackson, Hades bellowed. Destroy him! Father, no! Nico shouted, but it was too late. The front line of the Roman zombies lowered their spears and advanced. Mrs. O'Leary growled and got ready to pounce. Maybe that's what set me off. I didn't want them hurting my dog. Plus, I was tired of Hades being a big bully. If I was going to die, I might as well go down fighting. Nico also needs something that grounds him in the mortal world. Something he lost with his sister. Well, that's not necessarily true. There can be a lot of things that ground him to the mortal world. Like, it's weird that Annabeth was it for Percy. Like, I feel like it could have equally as been his mother. But he's a teenager. Like, Nico also, I guess, I wouldn't say Nico has a strong enough connection with anybody that would ground to the mortal world. Like, he's the closest person, the person he's closest to that's alive is Percy. So, and he's not super close to Percy, so, yeah. Also, I'm really curious what Achilles meant by, that's my physical weakness. And in his arrogance is his other weakness. Like, I get that, right? But I wonder what that would mean for Percy's weakness. What would that be? I'm very curious. Because Percy, I don't think Percy would be just as arrogant as Achilles. Sorry, couldn't resist. I don't know what that... Am I supposed to know what that sun means? Am I supposed to get it? I don't get it. I yelled, and the river Styx exploded. What? No way! Forget I said anything. Am I supposed to know what that means? No, seriously, am I supposed to know? Or is that a thing I don't know yet? I yelled and the river Styx exploded. Can he control the river Styx now? A black tidal wave smashed into the legionaries. Spears and shields flew everywhere. Roman zombies began to dissolve. Smoke coming off their bronze helmets. The redcoats lowered their bayonets, but I didn't wait for them. I charged. It was the stupidest thing I've ever done. 100 muskets fired at me point blank. All of them missed. I crashed into their line and started hacking with Riptide. Bayonets jabbed, swords slashed, guns reloaded and fired. Nothing touched me. Phew, he's finessing. Don't forget Percy's fatal flaw. I remember his fatal flaw, but I don't think that would be enhanced by the river Styx. No, future stuff. Just be being a doofus. Okay. Oh. No, I get it. I get it only because I've seen the cover of the Sun and the Star Nico book. So I get what that is. I know that's a thing with Nico and like some guy. I've seen the book and I got spoiled on that bit at least. That's actually where I got spoiled, because I was on the Rick Riordan website and I was just scrolling through, and the first thing in the blurb for Nico was like Nico D'Angelo, son of Hades, and I was like, what the fuck? Why would, whatever. Yeah, I get that. But anyways. No, you aren't supposed to know. I know, but like, that's not that big of a deal. Like, being like, he gets a love interest, that's just whatever. Like, it's just a, you know. I don't even know, I mean, I know his name, I think, but I don't really know, like, much about anything else. I just know, like, he gets a love interest, that's all. Anyways, nothing touched me. I whirled through the ranks, slashing redcoats to dust, one after the other. My mind went on autopilot. Stab, dodge, cut, deflect, roll. Riptide was no longer a sword. It was an arc of pure destruction. Lo, let's go. I broke through the enemy line and leaped into the black chariot. Hades raised his staff. A bolt of dark energy shot toward me, but I deflected it off my blade and slammed into him. The god and I both tumbled out of the chariot. The next thing I knew, my knee was planted on Hades' chest. I was holding the collar of his royal robes in one fist and the tip of my sword and poised right over his face. What? What? Silence. The army did nothing to defend their master. I glanced back and realized why. There was nothing left of them but weapons. In the sand and piles of smoking empty uniforms, I had destroyed them all. Hades swallowed. Now Jackson, listen here. He was immortal. There was no way I could kill him. But gods can be wounded. I knew that firsthand, and I figured a sword in the face wouldn't feel too good. Invincible. Dude, what the fuck? Invincible Percy is sick. What the fuck? Just because I'm a nice person, I snarled. I'll let you go. But first, tell me about that trap. Hades melted into nothing, leaving me holding an empty black robes. I cursed and got to my feet, breathing heavily. Now that the danger was over, I realized how tired I was. Every muscle in my body ached. I looked down at my clothes. They were slashed to pieces and full of bullet holes, but I was fine. Not a mark on me. Nico's mouth hung open. You just... With a sword, you just... I think the river thing worked. Said, let's go. So if Percy didn't do that, he would have straight up just died. Oh gee, he said sarcastically, you think? Miss O'Leary barked happily and wagged her tail. She bounded around, sniffing empty uniforms and hunting for bones. I lifted Hades' robe. I could still see the tormented faces shimmering in the fabric. I walked to the edge of the river. I could be free. I dropped the robe in the water and watched as it swirled away, dissolving in the current. Go back to your father, I told Nico. Tell him he owes me for letting him go. Find out what's going to happen to Mount Olympus and convince him to help. Nico stared at me. I can't. He'll hate me now. I mean, even more. You have to, I said. You owe me too. His ears turned red. Percy, I told you I was sorry. Please let me come with you. I want to fight. I'm sure you're gonna be there in the final battle. I would hope. I'd really hope. You'll be more helpful down here. You mean you don't trust me anymore? He said miserably. I didn't answer. I didn't know what I meant. I was too stunned by what I'd just done in the battle to think clearly. Just go back to your work, I said. Try not to sound too harsh. Just go back to your father, I said, trying to sound too harsh. Work on him. The only person who might be able to get him to listen. That's a depressing thought. Nico sighed. All right, I'll do my best. Besides, he's still hiding somewhere from me. He's hiding something from me about my mom. Maybe I can find out what. Good luck. Now Mrs. O'Leary and I have to go. Where? Nico said. I looked at the cave entrance and thought about the long climb back to the world of living. To get this war started, it's time I found Luke. Nah, bro. How are two invincible beings gonna fight? What? That's a dope cliffhanger. I feel like I'm doing this cliffhanger thing better than the 5-chapter thing originally, or like the thing I did accidentally. And Bonnie told me it'd be great, but I'm thinking this way is great because that's a great cliffhanger to end it on. Like, I want to read more. Like, what the fuck? Percy's invincible now? This can't hold forever, right? Like, I'm so curious how this is gonna, like is Percy just invincible for the rest of this series? Like, I was just thinking that the gods of luck are on my side with cliffhangers. But like, there's no way Percy's invincible for the rest of the series, right? Like, I'm so confused. Like, what the frick is gonna happen? Like, it can't be that way. But that was Nico's whole plan, to get Percy to go to the River Styx to become invincible, so we could throw hands with Luke on a similar plane. That's crazy. Well, this plan is obviously gonna fail because we're not even halfway through the book. So I don't even know what's gonna happen next. I thought we were gonna be doing this plan thing for a while, but that was it. That was the whole plan. That was the thing. What the crap? Dang, and now I am once again confused as to what the rest of this story is going to be like, because it's not like a drawn out path like the rest of them. It's not like we're going to go through this thing and we're going to find this. So you can see kind of where about the things are. Like in the Battle of the Labyrinth, you were like, okay, we're going to go through the labyrinth, we're going to find Daedalus. That was like what you could see the vague path I was going to go through. Titan's Curse, we're going to go to San Francisco, we're going to get Artemis back. Boom. Sea of Monsters, we're going to go to freaking Polyphemus' Island, we're going to get the fleece, we're going to get Grover, we're going to bounce. Boom. Lightning Thief, we're going to go to the underworld, we're going to get my mom. Like, that was like what it was. You could see it. But this one, it's like, we're going to kill Luke. How are we going to do it? The fuck knows. While they are both invincible, they also get tired way easier. And I imagine having the soul of a Titan inhabit a mortal body would make it really tired. Interesting. I don't know if they get tired way easier. Percy did just rip through 100 people. 100 plus people. So I don't think he gets tired easier. You know what I mean? Like, when you rip through 100 plus people without realizing it, like, I think you and then you get tired after that. Like, that makes sense. Especially, like, after, like, the post power-up amp that happens and all, like, shonen, and Percy Jackson's a shonen. Don't get it twisted. It's 100% a shonen. Like, that's, like, whoa, you know? Like, that's crazy. It's freaking... Nah, bro, Percy in his sleepy era? Nah. I would certainly hope not, because that'd be kind of lame. But we've barely seen Blackjack this book. I want to see more Blackjack, especially seeing as he's on the cover. So clearly something cool is going to happen with him. But, freak, dude. Shit. Today is Wednesday? I won't be able to read more until... I mean, he is still mortal. I'm sure he'll get really tired fighting armies without stopping. Yeah, exactly. Dude did get shot and stabbed. He did, and he didn't freaking notice. He was like, they missed. No, they all hit you. If you you just didn't feel anything. And that's crazy. So yeah, the next stream will be on Friday, because I have shit to do tomorrow. But we will continue this on Friday. Man, I really wish I could continue this tomorrow.
Yeah, I made it back. No, Shaughnessy. It's the end of the stream. No, I'm sorry. We just finished the last chapter for the day. This is so sad. I was pulling for you, but you missed it. And we're just talking about it now. We're talking about Invincible Percy and the logistics of, does he get tired or did he just rip through 100 people without realizing it? Because I think it's the second thing. Because before we'd only seen Percy like fight few people at a time. Like we've seen him fight like maybe 5 things at most, max, right? But now this is the first time we've ever seen Percy rip through 100 people, like ever. Like he finessed the fuck out of them. So that's freaking crazy. This book is ramping up to be something cool. This book is ramping up to be something cool. With the themes and all the cool characters that's happening, like I don't know if this is gonna be my favorite one so far, but I'm really excited to read more because it's really interesting. Okay, all right, but we're gonna have to end things here because I can't be reading forever. My throat was tired, and we gotta have a cliffhanger at some point, and I got shit to do. Hopefully editing. Hopefully I can will myself to edit some shit. But yeah, thank you everybody for joining the stream. I appreciate you. I will see you again on Friday for another read stream. I didn't mean Percy is just always more tired, but Percy is doing more crazy moves and fights, causing him to get tired. That would make more sense. I agree with that. That would make more sense. That's fair. But yeah, so I'll see you guys again on Friday for more The Last Olympian. I'm freaking excited because I don't know if I can make it. It'd be so sad. But hopefully you'll be able to make it for the last one at the very least, man. Hopefully, I don't know if the stream will be up there for you to watch it afterwards, as always. And hopefully you can make it to the last one, which I'll probably be reading. We'll have, since I threw off by one, we might have 7 chapters. I don't know. Depending on how I feel, I might just do that one big 7 chapter stream at the end. I have absolutely no idea. So yeah, we'll see. What happens, but we're not gonna worry about that right now. But yeah, I'll see you guys again on Friday. So thank you everybody for joining. I appreciate you. You made it more fun to read as always. And until next time, end the stream, guys. Later.